But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, Survive the Spin, Effie Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Tears Morgan, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, JMails24, Unimento, Iron26, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon are below this video. And with that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Chastise our brothers and sisters. And make a big deal.
I'm gonna chastise anybody who lies about God. I mean, if you tell a lie about God, then I'm gonna chastise you. That's all there is to it. You're gonna tell me his birthday was November 15th, and you don't have a single scripture to back it up. You're gonna get chastised. You're gonna tell me Jesus had a wife and kids with no scripture. You're gonna get chastised. If you say one thing about my God that's not in the Bible,
now it's on
you're gonna get chastised.
Continue this.
I'm a biblical literalist, man. Like, if you're going to talk about
fine.
God and not have a Bible
Nobody said that was his birthday. When did you hear me say that was his birthday? When did you hear me say Jesus was born on December 25th?
You said that's the day you celebrate his birth.
I celebrate. Yes, me. Okay? That's right, the way the world.
I get the caveat,
Russell, I went down this path way before you guys did. All it did was make me bitter and angry and miserable. Until I heard somebody say it and it enlightened me. Who am I, now that I'm a flat earther? The one day that the world, every part of the world recognizes that the Messiah was born, who am I to take that away? So, that's it. Now, do I know the day? No, I don't, but I do know he was born. Now, can we move on to flat earth?
Yes.
You literally
okay.
Earlier, Neil, you believe that December 25th is the birth of JC. You said that
can
in
we
BC.
move on to flat earth, Matthias? I'm going to put you on mute. I'm serious. I don't want to talk about this on November 8th or 9th, whatever it is. Jeez. God told you not to freaking celebrate his birthday on December 25th. Great. He hasn't told me that.
Well, you asked, when did I say that JC was born on December 25th? And you said that like 15 minutes ago, that you believed that he was.
No, I did not. I'm not going to get into this. I said I celebrated on that day. I celebrate me.
He clarified himself. He did say that he celebrated it. I understood what you said, Neil. Yeah. But yeah, it is annoying to talk about it. Because think about it. Right when the moment Halloween is over, we're listening to Christmas music in the store. Like, we have to deal with this.
Yeah, but that's retail. My wife worked in retail. They do that with everything. That's the reason why they push it right out there.
Right.
Thanksgiving right away.
They
put Christmas stuff out before Thanksgiving is freaking over. It's a reason for that.
And you know what? Another reason for it is most of the people that I know in my life who are crazy about Christmas and they love Christmas so much are not even Christians. They don't even like God, but they're crazy about Christmas.
Yeah, and I know
It says a lot.
people the opposite way too, that are crazy about Christmas because they love God.
Well, I mean, I
you
get that, but I'm saying that there's
Now,
for every
I'll
10
grant
people,
you
for
that
every
most
10
of the
people I
world.
know that love Christmas, 9 of them are atheists.
Right, and I'll give you that most of the world don't celebrate it. But you're just talking about America. You got to go. Well, my wife from Guyana, they celebrated Christmas totally differently. I mean, everything is about Christ. So we're stuck in America and what goes on here. But I assure you that in other parts of the world, they don't celebrate it that way. It's all about
Have
just
you
getting
researched?
together with family, cooking and eating, and celebrating the Messiah. Now, we're still going to get stuck on this, right? Somebody pull up some flat Earth proof. Oh, Earth is
Have you
measured flat. How you doing, Nathan?
have you researched Mithras yet, Neil?
Just not going to get away. I just got to leave this fucking call today, right? I just got to leave
No,
this
dude,
call
it's
today
over.
because
It's over,
Matthias is
dude.
here, right?
That's
It's a
enough.
simple yes
We're
or
done.
no question, Neil. Have you
No,
researched
it's
Mithras
not,
yet?
dude. It's done, bro. It's done, bro. Just drop it.
I mean, I provided a link for you to research Mithras. Have you done it? It's a simple yes or no question, Neil.
Do it next year. You got 3 months out of the year to talk about this. Do it next year.
I'll take the awkward silence as a no, Matthias. I have not researched Mithras yet. Weird.
Hey, did you know that there are 3 birthdays recorded in the Bible, and all of them were tragic? Anybody know what they were?
Yep, it was King Herod and Pharaoh, but I don't know the third one. But yeah, they were tragic. At least the 2 I know about. John the Baptist got his head chopped off. That sucks. Pharaoh killed someone.
I mean, the birthday of JC is highly debated. Some say spring, some say December 25th, some say September something. I mean,
Some say April 1st. Some say September 11th. I mean, yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
the third one you're trying to remember was Job's children.
Who? Job's children?
Job's children. Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to definitely.
That's when they got
that.
slaughtered.
They got slaughtered on their birthday?
Yeah.
Wow, dude. That's a nice tidbit there. Thanks.
Yeah, they would each come out to celebrate their day. And on one of those days, I don't know, they didn't name the child, but yep, that's when it all happened.
yeah, honoring a birthday seems very prideful to me. That's why I stopped doing it.
Yeah, it's no good.
Yeah, and think about all the little birthday traditions, right? You're gonna get a cake with candles, and then you're gonna blow the candle out and make a wish. This is
Yeah.
exactly what King Herod did with Herodias. He gave her a wish. You can have anything you want, save half the kingdom. And then she said, "Okay, I'll make a wish." And then she asked for the death of John the Baptist. And what do we see in modern media when somebody dies? They show like the camera pans to the right to the window, and then the candle goes whoosh, and the candle goes out. Because somebody died or something really bad happened. So all these little birthday things we do kind of have a biblical horrible origin.
Stop. Well, for those who haven't researched Mithras and still honor this satanic holiday called Christmas, I highly suggest you research Mithras. Enlighten yourself.
Well, I mean, the obvious one to look at is Saturnalia. So you have Kronos, right? You remember Kronos' story where he was eating his children, you know? So then have Santa, and you put all the children on Santa's lap. You'd not get what that all. It's an anagram. Santa, Satan. You know.
Don't forget Krampus. Krampus is very well established in his character. And on postcards, there are scenes of Krampus assisting or helping Saint Nick in his duties. And Krampus was the one that would steal your children, stuff them into sacks, whip them, and all kinds of demonic stuff. And he's got a tongue that is a mile long. Puts Gene Simmons to shame from Kiss. So, and no one talks about Krampus much, except in Europe. Europe, Krampus is still a big deal. So, yeah. And we don't, our Santa, America's Santa, didn't even exist until Coca-Cola made him up in an ad campaign. So Fat Santa wasn't anything until Coca-Cola made it an ad campaign. So generally, stuff like that.
So where did all that stuff come from? Do you think that all this stuff like he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake, you know, like all these kind of deifying features of Santa where he can be in a million places at one time and he knows it all, he knows your heart and he's going to bring you gifts or he's going to punish you. Like, did Coca-Cola give Santa those attributes or did those come from somewhere else?
Yes, and both and all. So it all comes from the world. It all comes from Satan. It's
always Coca-Cola.
Huh?
Always Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Edward Bernays, you could probably blame a lot of it on Edward Bernays.
Yeah, it's the real thing.
But focus. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
But it is true that things go better with Coke.
Yeah.
And life tastes good.
I also want to point out that the song No L, L means God. So whenever you sing that song, you're saying no God. So
there's all kind of interesting little factoids and little things. I call those interesting. I just say that's an interesting coincidence. And I make myself aware of them and research them if I want to go deeper into it. I don't make it my religious or holiday study purpose in life to mimic something that is hinky and might have ties to other more serious religions, sects, or practices that I know for a fact do take those things seriously. I just stay away from them, but I don't treat them like the plague, and I don't chastise people for following them unless what they do is harming them spiritually in some way. And we've all seen people, and we might have even been those people in the past, where some little hobby gets out of hand or some little ritual gets out of hand, and hopefully you figure it out before it gets so out of hand that it's very detrimental.
yeah, because the Bible says, "Be conformed to this world."
I see what you did there. I hear your sarcasm.
Yep.
And I agree with it. At the same time, I'm not going to make big hay
Nathan,
about
anything
it.
new on the book, Nathan?
Can you hear them talking, Neil?
No, yeah.
No, they stopped. They waited. They stopped. Trying to change the subject.
I was just saying that I'm not going to make it contentious, and that's what I feel sad about this morning kind of being ruined. It got contentious when none of us really had any business making it contentious with each other. I think we know we're all generally cool and okay on stuff with our own beliefs.
Well,
Maybe we should change the subject to Easter.
Well, to be fair, we were talking about it. To be fair, the original topic was
Surf Daddy, you're causing feedback. Whenever you're not talking, please mute. Thank you.
To be fair, we was on the topic of geoengineering the weather, and then Neil all of a sudden wanted to try to trigger me so he could censor me by bringing up Xmas. His plan worked, by the way.
Hold on. When did I bring up Christmas? I didn't bring it up.
You literally asked, how did everybody's Christmas
the knowledge
go?
of the clouds.
You literally asked right in the middle of when we was in the subject of geoengineering the weather, how did everybody's Christmas go?
That wasn't to trigger you. Are you serious?
Yeah.
You think I want to hear your freaking mouth?
It was
literally asking Surf Daddy how his Christmas went and everybody else. Just because you don't celebrate it, don't get offended. Now, I asked Nathan, have you got anything new in the book? If not, no big deal.
No, we've been doing Christmas things, so no work has been done over the Christmas period, Neil. Sorry.
Okay.
Have you researched Mithras, Nathan?
Have I researched what?
Mithras, Mithras.
No, what's Mithras?
It's an ancient pagan belief that the birth of the sun, S-U-N, was born on December 25th, and so they honored that day.
Yeah, give me a primary source research for it. I want it right now. Put it in the freaking chat. Let's go. Let's see the citation you have on that. Give me everything you got.
I literally tagged you in it, Neil, about 20 minutes ago. Here, I'll post it again in the chat for you, buddy. Everyone, Mithras from Britannica.com.
You seem to not realize I celebrate Christmas, not Mithras. Okay, so I don't know what you're posting here. That something was done how long ago? And how's this validated?
Okay, so here's weird. This is weird, Neil. You asked for the link. I shared the link, and you obviously haven't had enough time to investigate it yet. But you're going to argue
you shared
against
it in freaking Discord, and I'm in G+.
Well, I'm not in G+, so.
Thank the Lord. We'll look at it later. So just tell us what your Mithras is about. Since this fucking conversation is not going to stop, let's go.
It's not my Mithras. And I done told you what it was about.
So how's that relevant to what I celebrate?
It's where your Christmas came from. Was
where it
Mithras.
came from.
Sounds familiar too, don't it? Sounds kind of like Christmas, Mithras. Wow. Oh, it's just a coincidence, though, ain't it, Neil? Just a quinky dink.
Is that the only date for a Christmas? Is that only date in Christianity for the Christmas?
Yeah,
Matthews?
well, I don't know. That's the date that I guess
I'm
it
asking
came down
Matthews,
from
is it that
we're just going
only
to
one
continue
date?
on this freaking Christmas, aren't we? You guys, listen, here's a very simple thing. You
Just a
don't have to
second, Neil.
celebrate it, you
I
don't.
ask him a question. Is it that only one date for the Christmas, Matthews?
I have no idea.
There is
Yes,
another
that's
Christmas.
only one day.
No, there is another Christmas, another day.
What are you talking about? January 6th, a little Christmas, Three Kings Day? I don't celebrate that.
No, there is 7th of January, Christmas.
Yeah, it's called, when I was growing up, they called that Little Christmas, according to the calendar.
According to Orthodox Church, 7th of January, it's a Christmas.
Correct. That's the Orthodox, yes. Greek Orthodox.
Did you know how Catholic Church became?
To the Greek Orthodox.
So it was only one church before.
Yeah.
And
Now
it
you're
was
getting
not
into church
25th
history.
of December. And that's all. No problems for the dates. But he's correct. There is like a 200 gods born on that date. At least they're claiming that. On 25th of December. Shiva, Osiris, you can look into that if you want.
That's just it. I mean, Xmas isn't the only
I don't
holy
put X
day.
on it. You cross out Christ with X. I never say Xmas.
I do.
Yeah, because you're Antichrist.
Antichrist.
Actually,
Revelation
Christmas is
22:16,
Antichrist.
Neil.
No,
Revelation
it's not.
22:16, Neil, paints Jesus as Lucifer, the bright morning star. I didn't write the book. I'm just the messenger.
Okay, now that we know who all the Scrooges are, can we move on to flat Earth?
That's an ad hominem attack.
The fact. I was
No, that's
there.
an
I
ad
told you, I was
hominem
there
attack.
before all. I was there before all of you, and all it made me was bitter, angry, and miserable. My family
You were
didn't
there
want to be
really?
around
Were
me.
you? Really? I'm 65, bro. I don't think you were there
I'm
before all me.
60. I'm 60. When did you come to it? I came too along with all you other ones. When it came to flat Earth, I started looking into it. I threw everything out.
I renounced Christianity in 2011. I was
Sorry to hear
51.
that. I never said I renounced Christianity. I said I renounced holidays, and Christmas especially, and I became bitter, angry, and miserable. My family didn't even want to be around me. All I did was go around telling everybody, "Hey, wrong, chop down your Christmas tree, Jeremiah 10," until I did proper hermeneutics and reading into what the freaking Jeremiah 10:29 was about, or 29:10, whatever it is, I forget. But I knew it very well back then. Has nothing to do with the Christmas tree at all.
You're talking about adorning, right? You're talking about adorning and making idols. Yeah, they get confused. People get very confused about most things. Here's what's really confusing. Over the past like 2 weeks or maybe more, I've been seeing the Big Dipper above my head, upside down. And I could have sworn it was supposed to be in the north underneath the North Star Polaris, and that it only swung around with that star. But lo and behold, it's 6 a.m.
It will be.
Big
It rotates.
Dipper is at my zenith,
Yeah, the whole sky is like a
pointing
giant.
south with the tail. It's pointing south. Now, I don't have the camera ability to pick this up, or I would have videos out already.
That's what it does.
This is one of the main things I wanted to talk about. If
Bob,
anybody
take a
has
breath.
noticed any of this.
That's what it does. It just moves around. Same as the moon. Everything moves around. I remember Phuket Word describing it as like a wagon wheel in the sky in terms of how they move. So yeah, it will rotate about the position that it moves throughout the night. And if you're looking at it in the morning, it'll be upside down from how you watch it when it first rises in the early evening.
Right, it's at my zenith. Did I not just tell you it's at my zenith? It's above my head. The Big Dipper is above. See, that's what it's supposed to be doing, right? But Viking just posted. That's not what it's doing. And second of all, see what winter's supposed to be doing? That's not it either. It's upside down with the tail pointing south, literally where I'm at. And I'm like 40, latitude 41, I think, longitude, whatever. Yeah. And I've tried to get people to look at this, and everybody keeps getting whited out, and they can't see the sky.
You see your latitude 40 north?
Yeah. Let me make sure. I'm going to go get what I had wrote down. I'll check. I'm pretty sure it's like almost directly where the Big Dipper is supposed to be. But I'm supposed to be looking north. See, this is very confusing to me. This is why I need help.
According to what?
It should be the leading edge of the Dipper part should be pointing towards Polaris at all times. That's how I find Polaris, is by looking at the front edge of the Dipper.
Same here.
It goes up to Polaris, but then the Dipper does spin around Polaris. I find it interesting. I'm at 40. I'm at about 40 latitude too. I'm in Indiana, so that'll be interesting.
Pennsylvania.
That's what it does for me as well. I mean, I've got to be honest, that sounds normal to me, Harp. I regularly look at the Big Dipper because I'm often looking at the stars. That's pretty much what it does for me too. I think that's normal.
It goes above your head and points south.
I don't know about pointing south.
Well, can you be more specific? What stars of the Dipper constellation are?
Okay, so the whole thing, right, is above my head. Actually, the last star at the tip of the bucket, and that's pointing north. That's pointing toward the North Star. And the tail is pointing south. And it's above my head. Like it's not, like I can't see the Dipper in the north like we're looking at that picture. I have to look up and hurt my neck to see this thing. I've never seen that, or I've never noticed it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
That is weird. I mean, usually, we're at the same latitude, so it should be just a couple states away. But I agree. I've always seen. I can see the full Big Dipper as it spins around Polaris, and I can see all the tail of or the handle of the Dipper and all that stuff. But I usually am looking up at about 50 degrees or something like that. I wouldn't have to look straight up to see any part of the handle or anything like that.
Right. So pay attention and maybe you're going to see it. Well, between like 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock a.m., see if you can't spot it.
Well, last night we had about 50-mile-an-hour winds. And,
that's what I'm saying. Everybody's being whited out and rained on and snowed on, except, well, and I am too, but I got like at least 6 good shots of it being right above my head, but my camera doesn't pick it up.
Huh.
Yeah, I'd have a video to just show you. I mean, and then you would see that it's way out of like, I don't know, maybe I've never noticed this before. I can't see how I haven't, because that's what I've seen for the past 8 years. Off this deck I stand on, I look over, and there it is. Right under the North Star, or around it somewhere.
Does the North Star appear to be where it normally is?
I haven't seen the North Star. The whole sky that I usually look over into is almost empty now. Yeah, something's going on that I never noticed, or that's new.
Well, that's interesting. Again, interesting. Let's talk about what's interesting and what's coincidental and think about it rather than argue about it. Like, I think it's
It's like the
interesting.
same, like 3 years ago or whatever. I forget when that solar eclipse was. I noticed all kinds of stuff where they lied and it wasn't what they said it was, and all of a sudden
I'm telling
videos
you what
were
it is.
taken down.
What's happening is the ISS is knocking the stars off their path.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you saying they're saying this, or this is
No,
what?
no, they're not saying that. That was an attempt.
Neil's saying it. The ISS, man.
I mean, ISIS is doing that?
Oh boy. Oh no. You're not going to go into that, Hop, you little slickster.
You said it. You started it.
Yeah, ISS.
I said the ISS, not ISIS.
Well, it depends on what your definition of is.
Nice.
Is
nice.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I sat for hours one time during a book editing session, whether to use the word is or are, something to that effect. So please, let's not go back there.
Is a singular. R is a plural. We
Well, it
are.
might not have
I
been
is. I am. He is. I am. He is. We are.
It might not have been is or are. It may have been the or something else. Who knows? But
I
that
am
was
you and you.
excruciatingly painful.
Anyhow, I find it interesting that the one thing that atheists and Christians can agree on is heliocentric cosmology.
It's the one world religion.
Fascinating.
Dude, I was looking for the one world religion, and it was baffling my mind. I was thinking, here it's going to come out of here, and here it's going. And then I was listening to Chuck Missler saying there's a reformation or some shit and I was going, oh my God, here. And the whole time it was right there, and I was believing it. It was right there, and I was believing it. That's called heliocentrics.
Is that the one that they're talking about in Revelation? No,
That's the world. That's the world religion.
I consider government to be the one world religion.
really.
Well, no, it's the government that's going to bow down eventually.
The government is the beast. It's the
maybe.
Antichrist.
Maybe there's the 10 kings and stuff, but they'll bow down to the.
Well, 3 of them won't, and 3 of them will be, eliminated.
Right, but so it's not the quote unquote government. It will be a one world organized government around the beast, around the Antichrist.
But that's a government, and it already is. Heliocentrics is a one world religion that is supported by the Catholic Church. But actually, it was created by the Catholic Church. Sorry.
It is a religion. You can't deny that.
No, and I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that it is possibly the deception that God says he will send for those who were not lovers of the truth. And
I mean, that's strong delusion.
Strong delusion, yes.
Yeah.
And sending a strong delusion doesn't necessarily narrow it down to just flat earth or cosmology. It's just a general, to me, it's just a general.
Well, in the Bible, it's specifically about Jesus Christ. So, yeah. The Bible is specifically about the truth and the love of Jesus Christ.
No, about knowing the truth of creation.
Go find it and read it to me.
About the knowing of the truth of creation?
About why God sends you strong delusion.
Because they don't love the truth.
Because they don't love the truth.
Which is
what's the strong delusion?
Read the book, bro. Read it to me.
Right, but they don't know the truth. Yes, you can say the truth is Jesus is the.
I can say, no. The Bible says it.
Yeah, right.
Not part.
That's why.
Right.
I know.
But there's also truth. I mean, I agree with you. So don't, so chill. I agree with you. But truth in general, people who don't love the truth, who don't love God and don't know that he is the creator because of his creation, and people that deny the truth that he put in them so that no one would be without excuse, if they deny that truth, they are denying the truth.
Given over to strong delusion.
They're under a strong delusion because they do not love the truth. They don't put the truth in their heart. They don't repent so that they're come to the knowledge of the truth through repentance, things like that. Basically, you don't accept that God is the source of truth, then you are going to deny the truth. God says he puts it all around us in creation. That's where cosmology comes in. We can't look at our environment and our world and not see God in that world. So if you can look at a baby smile, or you can look at the stars and see the glory and power in his firmament that he created, if you can't see that that's God that did all that, then you are flat out denying what is true placed before your eyes, plus what God put in your heart, like laws of morality, moral laws, laws of logic, laws of just general revelation. So that's
where in the
all
world does it say that because there's a firmament or I can look around that it says that I'm a sinner? Where does it say that? That's not logical.
Who said that?
Me, Craig.
I know, but I mean, okay, where does it say that you look at the firmament, you're a sinner? I didn't ask that question.
You just said you look around, it's logical that this is that. But you were talking
What did I
about
say?
sinners.
No, I was talking about knowing whether God is true or not, loving truth. That's all. If you can't look around you and know that there is a creator, then you are denying what is true. Logically, as far as
Okay, I get that. I can agree with that.
okay, then we're in agreement. So it has nothing to do with sin or anything. We're just on the top.
Is that to the Bible?
Okay.
Says it in the Bible.
You want me to tie that back to? We'll go to my favorite first. We'll go to Romans. Romans 1:18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Okay, so we started off by talking about how God is going to send a strong delusion so that those who do not love the truth will basically be known and be called out. Okay, his wrath is revealed against people who are unrighteous in holding the truth on unrighteousness, basically keeping the lie or not admitting that it's true, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. Okay, there's the theology of general and general revelation and special revelation. Okay, there's stuff that's just generally reveals that God is true. You babies, life existing. We know that there is a God. We know that there's a creator because there's creation and ontological primitives. Okay. That which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has already shown it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by all things that are made. Basically, we see things that are made, right? Everything that's created must have a creator, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. That's general revelation. All right. Everybody knows that God exists. And for people, I mean, for me, years ago, I was debating atheists. And that was one of the main apologetics, presuppositional apologetics, is that we all know God exists. We just deny that he does. And Globers talk like that, just like atheists talk like that. Heliocentric Christians talk like that, which is what's disturbing to me, is that people who are Christians, but also Heliosians or Heliotheists, as I sometimes call them, that believe in the cosmology of heliocentrism, of the god Helios. It's just so stupidly ironic to me.
Well, it's weird because atheists think that they don't believe in God.
Right.
And that was my heliocentric.
That was my topic this morning, is that I was just thinking yesterday. I found it interesting that the one thing that Christians and even intelligent design, young earth and old earth Christians and atheists all agree that heliocentrism, or that our cosmology, is heliocentric. They all agree on all of that stuff, except the little minor details, like the Christians saying that God somehow created it heliocentric, while also saying, well, the Bible's not a science book. And the atheists saying the Bible's not a science book. On that, they agree. I just find it interesting that Christians are so ignorant of the truth. They hold the truth in unrighteousness about the creation that God describes in the Bible. And they're sticking with the atheists and the agnostics and the heathens and the true world
because
lovers.
they think it's science. They would dupe into thinking it was scientific, but it had nothing to do with science. It's only geography.
Yeah, well, science, quote unquote science, is the God of this world, as far as I'm concerned. The way it's used, the way it's personified and reified.
Science was hijacked.
You mean
Nobody uses
pseudoscience
science.
is the God of this world?
Nobody uses science. It's all pseudo crap.
Right.
Pseudoscience is the God of the world. Science is just a method.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But that's semantics here we're talking. I'm just saying.
Scientists are definitely the priests, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So when you point that out, I used to have fun when I talked about the moon landing, which I don't even talk about anymore. It's so dumb. That the priests of Apollo sent 12 apostles to meet Artemis for a meeting. And there's only been 12 people supposedly on the moon. Apollo's the god, the priests are the astronauts.
Wow.
So those are those interesting things. I don't care to research it beyond just, oh, that's kind of gravy. That's interesting.
Jin would love that. Got to give that to Jin.
Yeah. And I just use that to niggle and nudge other Christians out of their blindness to just go, isn't it interesting? 12 apostles of Apollo go to the moon. The moon's named Artemis, among other things. Gaia is the earth. Good grief. I've got a folder full of photos that I found on the internet of churches, and mostly churches, that use the globe in their bulletins and notices and advertising and paperwork and even their logos. And it's pretty creepy when you look at it in the context of idolatry and graven images. And God, I don't know if it's in Romans 1 exactly.
Merry Christmas. Let's get it on.
Happy-
Smiles. Neil
Happy
sound like
New
he's
Year.
on a DJ booth. One, two. Good day,
There he goes
everyone.
again.
Happy Saturday!
Merry Mistress!
My favorite.
Merry Mistress!
My favorite line
Happy
from
fraudulent New Year!
my favorite line from the pre-show was Matthias being a bit critical of some of the aspects of Saturnalia and Christmas, and I can't remember the term he gave me that was new. And then Neil called him a Grinch, and he said, "That's an ad hominem attack." Very amusing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually called him Scrooge, but Grinch fits better.
Scrooge, that was it. You called him Scrooge, and he's like, "That's an ad hom."
Yeah, it was.
It absolutely was.
How is it not?
I'm not saying it wasn't.
You're the Scrooge and Harp is Grinch. Now let's move on. Let's talk about the Big Dipper you see
And
underneath.
you're an asshole. And you're an asshole.
No swearing.
Well, the thing of it is, Neil, you asked for this Mithras link, and I provided the Mithras link. You obviously didn't have enough time to look at the link and research it, but yet you wanted to argue anyway, and then ad hom me. So in turn, you literally, there's a fallacy called arguing from invincible ignorance.
There's a
fallacy.
mean one, Mr. Grinch.
I'm not done. Thank you for the interruption, Neil. Epic debate panel, by the way, Nathan.
Ah, humbug.
Oh, thank you. No, it's a full house today.
Yeah.
I think it's because we've had a few days off. So I'm delighted that everybody's all keen and excited. I did kind of think, should I have a show today? I mean, it would be nice to have a day off, but my wife started back at work today, so it felt wrong not to. And I've been working all over the Christmas period with microphones, as I do. And I just noticed as I was doing the intro that the mic I'd most recently done a video for was still in shot. So I'd just forgotten about it. So it's still in shot for my intro on the show, which it shouldn't be. It's a shotgun mic and should be very much out of shot. So when you're wondering, why is there a giant microphone in shot at the intro? It's because I'd just made a video about it and just forgot to move it. That was all. Anyway, that's what we're using for today. A mic that I wouldn't typically use. Sennheiser 416, very nice industry standard shotgun microphone that you're listening to me on today. Should my Neumann ever break, this is what I'll replace it with. So while I kind of justify buying microphones on the basis that, well, if I ever need to record a tom-tom, I've got that tom-tom mic covered. Whereas in reality, there's no drum kit here, so it's not like it's necessary. Whereas in the case of the mic that's currently being used, literally, that you're listening to me on now, this mic, if I pointed it on camera, this is a mic that I might actually use. That's to say, if my regular mic breaks, this is what I'd replace it with. So I've bought this in the idea that I'll put it on one side, and should I ever have an issue with my mic, I've got a spare, and this would be it. So this is a Sennheiser 416. Very nice microphone, actually. It sounds very much like my Neumann, which is why I like it. Anyway, enough about microphones.
I agree. I like the way this sounds. It has it has a good resonance. The dynamics is not ear piercing. It doesn't hurt the ears, but it has a nice resonance. You can tell whatever it's made of, the diaphragm, whatever, it's really good. It's a good.
This is what they used to make movies with.
Singing mic.
Whenever you watch a movie, there's a very good chance that this is the mic they'll use. So this is an industry standard mic. So whenever you hear the term industry standard, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best mic you can buy. It just means that that's what people have adopted to use for movies, TV, things like that. And in my experience, whenever I do buy an industry standard mic, it is exceptional in terms of the quality. So it's not the case that when people say, oh, it's not the best mic you can buy, it's like, yeah, but it is really good though. So this is one of those examples. Anyway, we're on Flat Earth Debate. I shouldn't be talking about mics. I've already taken up too much of the show with microphones. So my apologies, anybody who's like, what the hell are you doing talking about microphones? It's just because I like them, and here's my new, because it is going to be mine, as opposed to the rest of them, which will eventually get sold, no doubt. This one will inevitably stay in my collection as a mic that I do use for the show, potentially, if my Neumann breaks. So there we go. I won't mention it again. How you all doing anyway? You had a nice Christmas, everyone?
Yep.
You all got lots of presents?
Yep, quiet. Outstanding, very stressful. We got through it.
Seeing my children, that's what it was about, seeing them smile.
I completely agree. I was asked by my wife, what was your favourite part of Christmas? And I said, other than seeing her beautiful smiling face back at me in yesterday's meal with my family, it was generally watching the kids open their presents. So that magic, that as much as you might be Grinches and Scrooges about Christmas, and debate all day about whether or not it's the actual birthday of Jesus Christ himself, the overall sentiment of giving gifts is what I take out of Christmas. That is to say, to show your generosity towards others that you love. And in my case, for the most part, it was my kids. Obviously my wife for the most part as well, but my kids, watching them open presents on Christmas Day is a very, very magical thing. And it won't last forever. In fact, it'll last a very short time for me. And most people, or all people who've got kids, unless they keep having them, which is to say they grow up and then they stop being as excited about the presents. They want to buy whatever it is for their car or whatever it is for their flat when they're older. But for now, they're just interested in Bluey and whatever it is that they want for toys. My daughter got a little game character that my wife had made custom for her called Rainbow Pink. That's just a character she's made in her Roblox game. And she went out and had somebody crochet a not life size, but compared to the character size toy that looked exactly like the game character. So when she opened it, the bulging eyes and the elation at the getting of this present was just a very magical thing that won't last forever. So hopefully you all, if you've got kids, got to experience something similar. Yes, Nathan, I've got 2 children myself. Oh, well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I have kids.
You didn't give me a chance. I was going to say my youngest child is 33, and I haven't celebrated Christmas in like 25 years. I don't know. Christmas is garbage.
But you can relate to what I'm saying, though, right? When he or she was younger, you got to see the magic of that in their eyes while they were getting their presents, right?
Yeah, I remember in 1992, I made a whole bunch of money, and I went to the mountains and I bought my kids all the freaking money I had made. And then when I went back down the shore and it was cold and there was barely any work, I was kind of regretting what I did. But at the time, it was a lot of fun, watching them go, yay, and I spent almost $3,000.
$3,000 in 92? You got away cheap.
That's a horrendous amount of money in 1992. That'd be like 10 grand today.
Yeah, you got 1992. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking today.
Let's go back to 1992. Can we? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, huh?
Do the heart
Where'd you get that from?
Yes, it was.
We're back in 1992.
Where'd you get that money, Hop?
I'm a builder, dude.
Nice. So you build, so you know that Earth is flat because you build.
Absolutely. Here's a question. If Eric Dubay or Matt Farrell and whoever it was that brought this back into the visual when we were all before that, if that wouldn't have happened, would we be flat earthers right now?
Yes, I do believe so.
Would you have recognized it on your own?
I don't know about recognizing it on our own, but somebody else would have done it. So it never went away.
Somebody else would have done it.
I think so,
take somebody else out of the picture. That's the question.
Okay, I'm going to answer you. My brother told me, I knew nothing about YouTube or anything like that. My brother started telling me about flat earth.
But the chances are he came across it through Eric Dubay, Matt Powerland, someone like that, right?
Actually, no. He came across it through somebody in, I think, in a Bible study or something.
There you go.
That's where he came across it.
But
But I don't know where that person came across
What
it,
year
but it
was
would have
that?
got out.
one at a time. The chances are, if you went back
what year was
through
it?
the timeline and had a look at who gave that person in the Bible study group the information, the chances are it did originate with one of those, as Matt Powerland used to describe it, first wavers of this modern generation of flat earthism. Well, prior to that, there was still flat earthing. There were still people doing it. It was still on message boards and forums. The reason I know that is because Charles, that's Flat Earth Math, who is not a flat earther, was interviewed by myself, I don't know how many years ago now, it's probably knocking on for 10 years ago. And in my interview with Charles Flat Earth Math, who is, if you like, the first anti-flat earther, he was explaining that before we had YouTube, there was internet forums and message board groups where people were posting about flat earth. Now, in the 2000s, when he was covering that subject and detailing how Earth isn't flat to the people in those message boards, he noted that they'd all vanished. So they were replaced with Matt Powerland. But if they weren't replaced by Matt Powerland and Eric DeBay and whoever else, it would have just been someone else. And the reason, which I almost got to earlier, is because you can't avoid keeping it in the public eye to be ridiculed. That is to say, the powers that should not be, if you want to call them that, the hidden hand, has to keep flat Earth in the public eye. Because if you haven't got it in the public eye, people just come across how Earth is measured and will put two and two together really quickly. You need an overarching sense of ridicule attached to flat Earth so that if anybody puts two and two together and says, well, isn't Earth just flat? They're called an idiot and a moron by default. So you have to keep it in the mind's eye of the public to ridicule it.
Oh, I never caught on. Now that you explained it like that, you are 100% correct.
Exactly. I love that. That was perfect. That made so much sense. That made so much sense. Keep it in
You
that
gotta have the
conspiracy.
markers there, right?
Yeah,
you got to
keep it in that
marked.
conspiracy circle. Wrap it up with some 9/11 and some this and that, and it'll just be considered conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because if you don't, like you say, people are gonna connect it, and they're gonna realize Earth is flat on their own.
That's what we're doing now. So we're building that bridge from normal people who measure Earth flat in all circumstances to what we do, which is point out that Earth is flat. Now, prior to us doing this, there's just us saying Earth is flat and then we get called conspiratards. But moving forward, we're going to say Earth's measured flat, here's Normie measuring it flat.
So the globe is a conspiracy, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Even better. Hold on. Even better. Here's Earth measured flat. Here's a global belief retard measuring it flat, like triangles. That's even better.
Well, even better than
I
that.
always hear people denying that this is a conspiracy.
Yeah,
I constantly hear people 24/7, people over here. I constantly hear people denying that the globe is a conspiracy.
What? We've never denied that here. We've actually said it here.
Yep.
To me, that's really obvious that the globe is the conspiracy as opposed to the flat Earth. Now that we can point out how Earth is measured, flat in all circumstances and without exception, including but not limited to how the globe gets created. So on screen now, we've got a depictorial version of how a flat Earth, that's the equatorial plane, is utilised from the centre of a protractor that gets turned into the globe. In other words, in order to create a globe, you require a flat Earth to measure in the first instance. So but for the fact that we measure Earth flat, you wouldn't have a globe to create and believe in to then suggest that you're an idiot for not believing in that globe that was created with flat Earth measurements. So rather than pointing out how Twiangles-McKeegan utilises a flat plane to measure Earth flat in Antarctica when measuring the sun for 24 hours, but for the fact he can't use a freaking tripod, you've got the globe that he's trying to affirm with his almost 24 hours of flat Earth measuring angles to the sun being created in the first instance with flat Earth measurements, for him to then go to Antarctica to affirm it by way of confirmation bias with flat Earth elevation angles to the sun for a 24-hour period. But for the fact that Dave McKeegan can't use a tripod. But like I say, you've got to create the globe first to have idiots like Dave Twiangles-McKeegan trying to affirm it by measuring Earth flat with angles. Obviously, that makes the globe a conspiracy.
Yeah, the globe was derived from flat Earth elevation angle measurements.
Yeah.
So the first time a glober said that the flat Earth is a conspiracy theory, they were the biggest projectors out there.
Yes.
That's projecting like a big way.
Yeah, they had to lump it up
I
to
know people that
conspiracies, so we look
were
like a bunch
honest.
of conspirators.
I know people that were earnestly saying that because they were, the cog disc gets you. I don't care. It took me for 3 years. So, like we said, a lot of stupid things, some of us, before we look at it. Then once you look at it, and if you deny it when you're seeing what's, then you become what you just said, denying and projecting. But
yeah, you're right. You're spot on with the description
that's my
too.
experience.
The cause is cognitive dissonance. That is to say, holding two positions that are contrary to one another simultaneously is cognitive dissonance. Well, your belief was based on what you were taught as a child, and your understanding that's in contradiction, that's cognitive dissonance, to your belief is how Earth is measured. Well, when you can put the two together to say that, well, Earth is measured flat to create that belief, you've then got the perfect storm. Well, you need that to never be the case. You need nobody to ever highlight that. What you need is people to say, well, Earth's flat. Well, what makes you think it? Well, the Bible says so. Or something along those lines that's not connected directly to the measurement of Earth's surface. That's what you need the subject matter to become. And then you need the person who's saying it to have experience not in Earth measurements, not in geography, not in mathematics, but in conspiracy. Then you've got everything you need to make the subject of Flat Earth a subject matter rather than a measurement, about people rather than a measurement, about conspiracy rather than geography.
That's correct. That's why we fight against that so hard today. We want to move out of that conspiracy realm that we should have never been put in the first place. So when people are still talking about conspiracies, it drives me insane.
Can I just do a quick shout out? Just before you do one, just do a quick shout out to Justin Wilkerson. Right, I don't normally name people who've given me PayPal donations, but this particular individual gave me a very large, several £100 donation over Christmas, and it was so well received. That is to say, my wife, who is the one who buys all the Christmas presents, as opposed to myself, was poor as frick, and I've been directing all of my PayPal donations to her. Since she's been working on my book as the new editor. And in that case, she had several £100 directed to her at a time that she was the most poor, because she's obviously bought a load of Christmas presents. Now, that's not anybody's fault in terms of anybody than us wanting to give our kids presents, and they're all of our family, that is. But, to get several £100 in a PayPal donation at that particular time of year was so gratefully received by both myself and my wife. Obviously myself, because I could give it to her, and her because she got it. But yeah, even though she's not actually done any work on the book over Christmas, and I didn't expect her to, it was really nice to be able to say, here you go, I've said I'll give you all of the PayPal donations that I get. Here's several £100 that somebody's given me to make ends meet at a time that we're poor. So, people are generally poor over Christmas, and that was massively helped by Justin. So if you're out there listening, Justin, thank you so much. And everybody else, there's loads of people who've been giving me PayPal donations. There's been a big run on it. I'm not sure if that is because specifically people like the idea of me giving my wife donations for doing the editorial work on my book. If that is the case, then thank you to all of you. It's not just Justin, but there's lots of people who've been giving me PayPal donations. D Rose is one of them, and he just regularly gives me PayPal donations. And again, everybody typically, unless I'm very much mistaken, gets an email thank you when you do send me a PayPal. And as I say, they are all going directly to my wife currently. That won't always be the case, but for the time being, while she's doing that editorial work, as Neil asked about it in the pre-show, she's getting all my PayPals. And I'm mitigating for the loss of PayPals and the lack of, I was about to say eBay, the lack of YouTube ad revenue by flogging microphones. So it means that I'm not left short as a direct consequence of giving all my PayPals to my wife, because I'm flogging microphones currently, and I'm into profit after a bloody year of doing it. So I'm quite pleased that I'm, in a financial, on the right side of the knife edge in terms of my finances, and that's thanks mainly to people who have supported me and my family over the Christmas period via PayPal. So thank you all very, very much for that. I really, really appreciate it. Go ahead, One Deck.
Hi Nathan, hi guys. Yeah, lovely story that, Nathan. Fantastic that of Justin to send you that. fantastic, especially this time of year, like you say. Absolutely magnificent. Really happy about that. I think I was just going to point out about this. I think I was just basically going to say measurements are not a conspiracy. So, that's where we are now. It's been put down this conspiracy road, but where we are now, we're talking about measurements. Measurements is not a conspiracy. It's a measurement, and that's how Earth is measured. And the likes of Triangles and Simon Dan, they know this. They're measuring Earth flat too. Simon Dan's measuring elevation angles with 1,000 participants across the Earth. Triangles knows 100%. He can't give an example of Eratosthenes to me to prove a globe because he knows it's a flat Earth elevation angle measurement. Yeah, because the Greeks knew the Earth was flat because that's how they measured it like that. And when he presents elevation profiles on one of his video shows, he has to show a linear distance, horizontal distance of an elevation profile, because, in his words, it's just much easier to do it that way. So everybody knows the Earth is flat, and everybody knows it's measured like that.
Well, they may not have known, as we were discussing cognitive dissonance earlier. So on the Christmas Day show that I released, I intentionally picked a show that had a very heavy emphasis on flat Earth measurements, in that instance by our opponent, Red Rhetoric. So if you watched, or happened to watch the re-up, if you will, if you remember, you'd already have seen it, but the Uncut and After show that I released on this channel, the main channel, Nathan Oakley 1980, on Christmas Day, was Red Rhetoric Measures Earth Flat. Now, the video is probably, his video that is, was from about 5 years ago, but his measurements, as described moments earlier by One Deck, were flat and linear, because that's the only way you can perform the trig needed to suggest that we don't know how to acquire heights of stars, but they do when they've got infinite distances. But ultimately speaking, they're using the only available measurement of Earth's surface for distance, and they are flat. There aren't any exceptions to that. Now, over the Christmas period, I was pointing out to my sister that a lot of my current rhetoric started as a consequence of something that she said or agreed with while I was debating the subject with my brother-in-law about celestial navigation, which is to say, I'm explaining to him how Earth is measured flat for the measurement of the angles and the acquisition of circles of equal elevation. And he's obviously arguing the toss that Earth's a ball, whilst flying in the face of how the Earth's measured. Now, while I'm doing this, my sister's nodding along, and I look at her, I'm like, why are you agreeing? She's like, well, do you not remember that I've owned several boats? And that I had to study celestial navigation to go out and use the boats. And I was like, oh yeah, of course you did. Now, her husband at the time died, one of the owners of the boats. Now, that was very traumatic for me, and I'd blocked out that chunk of my life, so it wasn't necessarily prevalent in my mind that I'd spent a significant period of time on boats while both her and her former husband were measuring the stars with flat Earth elevation angles, with the celestial navigation that they understood. But when I'm debating it with her new husband, she's nodding because she appreciated at a very fundamental level how flat Earth must be measured. Now, there aren't any other ways of measuring Earth. It doesn't matter if you're talking about parallel flight level, sea level, surface level, elevation angles, areas of equal elevation, distance, as we're talking about with Red Rhetoric. All of them are flat. Hence, you must make the subject of flat Earth a subject matter rather than a measurement, because then you can ridicule it and make it about the people. Because the second you start to recognise that Earth can only be and is only ever measured flat, then there's no more debate to have. It's no longer about the people. It's no longer a conspiracy. There's no longer any cog dis in regards to how Earth is dealt with. It's just measured flat. It's not that serious anymore.
Yep, well said, Nathan. Exactly. Comes down to a measurement, and everybody's aware of it. Yeah? Everybody uses it that way. Engineers, pilots, like you say, navigation, mapping, GPS, all utilising a flat Earth.
Everyday people, right? One Deck? Normal people measuring the Earth flat.
Everyday people.
But it's true, right? which is taking regular normal people and they're demonstrating without beyond a shadow of a doubt what they're doing. I mean, they're not hiding it, are they? Am I missing something?
You can't. That's the thing. Like on screen now, if you try and hide, subvert, suppress the actual measurements of Earth's surface as a flat plane, then you can't build a globe with the measurements. The way we actually utilise the surface to stop people from dying is flat. If you haven't got horizontal parallel flight levels, then the planes will crash into each other. You have to keep them at a set distance apart from each other, measured from surface level with altitudes perpendicular to surface level, parallel with the ground, parallel with each other at the different flight levels, all of which is axiomatically requiring a flat plane to describe it and utilise it so that people don't die. So you can't hide it. You have to make it into a different subject. You have to make it about science. So you can bullshit people about it being scientifically proven to be a globe. Because then when you look into whether or not there's cause and effect reasoning being ascribed to the Earth, you'll find your way to scientists telling you it's a globe and the studies of the stars, nothing to do with the ground in that respect at least. If you had it in the correct category, that's geography and mathematics, you'd immediately recognise how flat Earth was, measured in all circumstances, because that's how it must be and is utilised to not cause death.
Yep, they called us science deniers, but the whole time they were geography deniers. Ain't that something? It was well done. I could applaud them for it right now. It was well crafted, but we sniffed it out.
Look at our screen, you can applaud that. I mean, that's the Earth curve calculator. It's not called a calculator for nothing, because that's what it is calculating, but that's the actual measurement process, which is eye level and surface level, two horizontal lines parallel with each other, and then you have a depression angle from eye level to surface level, yeah, to then calculate a so-called curvature. But it's actually a flat Earth measurement, as you can see.
Yeah, the way that they've incorporated this as a curving surface level, in contradiction to the actual surface level that's measured, is by putting it into what's called an orthographic view, where you see the side of your own head and the target simultaneously, and then you can call the effects of perspective the effects of curvature, when in reality the only measurements ascribed are perpendicular height off surface level and parallel eye level, and distance after the fact once the calculation has been incorporated. And you suggest that the distance to a geometric horizon, described as a flat linear mile or kilometre distance, is x. And then when you describe that in an orthographic view, you can represent that distance as at the end of a curved line, violating the base principle of all of the measurements you've just utilised to create it. So in essence, it becomes what we have always described this calculator as: a begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, Earth curve calculation based on flat Earth measurements. That being an addition that we didn't typically add up until now. But the most important naming structure in that regard is the based on flat Earth measurements. Horizontal linear distance is ascribed after the fact once you've calculated your height off surface level and ascribed it to 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, perpendicular to a plane with parallel eye level for the dip described by one deck a moment ago.
No, that's the only way you can get the measurements.
I'd say hats off to Refractive for that, because he sort of pointed all that out to us and went through that. Fantastic. And it's to do with the measurements. What's on screen there now is we find ourselves arguing about this point of where the horizon should be. Yeah. If the Earth was a globe of 3959, then the horizon can be no more than 1.22 times the observer's height in feet away. And then we would get involved with arguments saying, well, no, the horizon can't be there. Now, we're finding ourselves back then, arguing about where the horizon should be, when the horizon has never been defined as a physical location. So why the hell would we want to start talking to somebody about where it is or isn't? Because it can't be actually anywhere because it's not a physical location.
Furthermore,
and then
if it debunks
what
the globe.
Nathan's just said.
Say further to that, the starting point for the modus ponens is to suggest that if Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959, where'd you get the radius 3959? Well, by measuring Earth flat to derive it from a minimum elevation angle to Polaris, or you can use the Aristotelian or Al-Biruni method rather, to derive a radial value that's flat and linear in terms of its measurement on an equatorial plane. Well, you're going to have to measure Earth flat to infer that you've got an Earth sphere with a radius of 3959. The 3959 value comes by way of flat Earth measurements. So before you can beg the question, assisting the ballers in the Black Swan argument, you must measure Earth flat to achieve that. To then start saying, well, if we measure Earth flat to create a radius of 3959, then we assume with the flat Earth measurements that Earth is a sphere, and the distance to horizon that would be linear and flat is 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height off a flat Earth. It's utterly ludicrous now we look back on the Black Swan. Wonderful in 2020, 5 years down the line, like most things in this subject arena, utterly redundant.
6 years in a couple of days, my friend.
Yeah. Well, at the time that we all thought we must beg the question of a sphere to undo the assumption of being on a sphere from within the assumption of being on a sphere, now it's to be assuming that you're on a sphere, you've got to measure Earth flat to do so.
You know, I think it was the mindset, and people are still in this mindset of just debunking the globe, how the globe don't work. It's a constant debunking of a globe, but we have measurements now that point to it being flat. So I don't have to debunk a globe anymore.
Yeah, that was the ultimate trick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When I say that you had to make flat Earth anything but measurements and geography, maths and geography, you have to make it about being an anti-glober. You can't have a flat earther describe how Earth is measured flat. What a flat earther must be is someone who says Earth's not a sphere. That's what your old school flat earthers actually were. They were never flat earthers. Most flat earthers aren't flat earthers. They are anti-globers. They just didn't know it. Well, I'm telling you, stop telling people they're not on a globe. Be tolerant of people's belief moving forward as people start to relinquish the shackles of being attached to a mindset that has them on a globe created with flat Earth measurements. Realise the awful truth, if you're still on a globe, it's measured flat to achieve said belief. But ultimately, if you are a so-called flat earther or a real flat earther, be tolerant. People will want to believe they're on a globe moving forward. Let them. Let them believe they're on a globe. Don't move forward telling them that they're not on a globe that they believe in. Lean into their belief and tell them, in order for you to believe you're on a globe, you measure Earth flat to achieve it. Now, that's not to say that I'm going to stop you believing that you're on a globe. You believe whatever you like. But your belief is based on measurements of Earth's surface as a flat plane. Those are just the facts. Now, if they deny those facts, that Earth is measured flat to achieve their globe belief, they are in what we call the hard place, where they no longer have any measurements to create their globe with. Alternatively, and you don't have to force this upon them, they can find themselves in the rock, or on the rock, of understanding that to achieve a globe to believe in, you must and can only measure Earth flat. Now, up until now, I've said sink to your knees and understand and appreciate how flat Earth must be measured for you to believe in a globe. Now I'm just going to say, no, in order to create a globe for you to believe in, and you're entitled to, you must measure Earth flat. You don't have to like it.
That's brilliant. Yeah, basically, yeah. For your globe to exist, it's going to have come from a flat Earth measurement in the first instance. That's
And calculations.
That's what's required. Yeah. You need them measurements more than us.
Yeah, so when Dave McKeegan tells you, well, I don't want to repeat what Aristotelian measured, so you don't want Aristotelian measurements because they're flat. So you don't have any measurements then, dickhead. That's the response. If they're saying, I don't want to use them, don't. Like I give a crap that you don't want to use Aristotelian measurements because they're flat Earth measurements. Yeah, they're flat Earth measurements. We'll lean into them all day long as flat earthers because we're no longer, at least here on Flat Earth Debate, anti-globers. But our opponents, according to one deck, in this case Dave McKeegan, doesn't want to acknowledge his own measurements of a flat earth for fear of acknowledging how flat earth must be measured. Yeah, that's called the hard place that Dave McKeegan now finds himself in. Now, pre-Christmas, we're pointing out that as the tides turn and people start to recognise how liars and deceivers knew all along that they required Earth be measured flat, this will be what they point at when they look at Dave and go, so you didn't want to point out how Aristophanes measured Earth flat because it would mean you'd have had to acknowledge that Earth was measured flat. Instead, you avoided using this suggested to be globe proof because it didn't line up with your belief. Well, that's pretty disgusting. It makes you a liar. Somebody that should be maybe poured scorn on by the public's opinion. Maybe. I mean, I don't care. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I embrace all of these fellow YouTubers in their pursuit, slow that they are on the uptake, of a flat earth measurement that they all require. Or in this case, for Dave McKeegan, wants to deny. Why would you want to deny your own measurements? Oh, it's because they're from a flat earth. So you don't want to acknowledge how flat earth is in your own measurements. That just makes you culpable. It means people will recognise how big a liar you are. And maybe you'll start getting some of the treatment that you've directed to us for the last 10 years. Now, I expect that they'll crap their pants when that starts happening. Most of them with their fake names will bugger off into non-existence.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they
Well
had
said,
their
Nathan.
fake names in the first place, so they can bugger off.
Yeah, but isn't it telling this, just the triangles example? And I'm not just saying triangles to all triangles. I'm saying it was very showing that for me, that he does realise that their so-called evidence of a globe, which we all skipped past years ago, is describing how Earth is measured flat and then calculated mathematically into a globe, if you can say that that way. It's elevation angles from the surface of Earth. Now, you've got Dave McKeegan triangles, knows for a fact that the moment he brings that up to me, he knows it's a flat Earth measurement. His globe proof is a flat Earth measurement. And he's realised that. And they're all realising it.
Yeah, because anytime you talk about measurements, one deck, Harp's abilities right here, he could tell you, anytime you're dealing with measurements, they have to be coming off a flat plane of reference because you will not get an accurate measurement. You can't measure anything other than it being off of a flat plane.
Hey,
I've got
a question for Dave McKeegan. Are you a maths denier? Because it seems to me that when it's brought up in discussion/debate, it isn't. With your pal and friend One Deck, you don't want to talk about the measurements. These people are just maths deniers. Dave McKeegan's a mathematics denier. That's all he is. Because he doesn't want to talk about it anymore the moment the measurements are flat. Mathematics denier.
Well, once you become a mathematics denier, then you're actually a geography denier as well.
Yeah, completely agree, Neil. These people are geography deniers and mathematics deniers. You only want to talk about science. You only want to keep it in a category error. Well, that seems pretty sad.
Well, let's give it to Mr. Weathers. Matthew, whatever his name is, let's give it to Matthew now. Matthew,
But isn't it
he loves math.
measurement's not math. Measurement's a physical thing that you do. If you're calculating the measurements, then it becomes math.
Yeah,
Is he not into geometry?
It falls under mathematics.
Isn't
Hold on, Neil.
Mr. Lerner's a geometric professor, teach geometry, right? In his mathematical class?
Yes, but what Harp is saying is it's only mathematics if you're taking the measurements and calculating a sphere into existence. But what One Deck's pointing out is Triangles McKeegan does not want to do that, making him a mathematics denier.
Ah, I see.
Isn't that what he does do, though? He takes the flat measurements and mathematically creates a ball. He's not a math
that's a violation.
Stop talking while he's asking me something. No, he doesn't want to do that. He's saying, I don't want to talk about Aristophanes because I have to start with a flat Earth measurement to calculate my sphere into existence. So let's not talk about that, because I'll have to acknowledge how flat Earth gets measured. So he's a mathematics denier. Doesn't want to do it once he recognises how flat Earth gets measured.
His very words were, or sort of words were, I know your game, one deck. You just want me to explain the Eratosthenes method or measurement so you can run back to FED and welcome me to flat Earth. Yeah, that's correct.
That's correct,
that's
Dave. Yeah, that's correct, because those are the facts in the matter. Yeah, you will be welcome to flat Earth, but in my opinion, not one Dex, because he's obviously there on your heels, nipping at you. I don't care if you understand this stuff. I don't care if you acknowledge it or not. Earth will still be measured flat by Eratosthenes, whether you acknowledge it or not, Dave, you unbelievable dick. Doesn't matter if you, a pathetic, lisping, stuttering cuck, acknowledges this or not. It's still measured flat whether you, a dickhead, acknowledge it. You think it matters whether Dave McKeegan acknowledges it? Does it matter to me that we welcome you to flat Earth? I couldn't give a crap. It's flat whether you like it or not.
Hold on a second. I got to clarify one thing, because refracted curvature was in here saying it's not even mathematics because they're violating principles by trying to take flat Earth measurements and turning them into a ball. So it's not even math.
Yeah. I keep telling you.
Yeah, no, you're correct. One deck. Refracted curvature is correct in the first instance. You can't take a flat Earth measurement and then suggest that you're standing on the outside edge of a protractor as the surface when the surface formed part of the angle. You can't, because you're violating the base principle measurement. But that's what their world is. Yeah, all their world is based on is a violation of the actual measurement of Earth's surface. That's what their world is based on. It's a joke. Their entire worldview is a joke.
I was just going to say, they have to lie. There's got to be lies in there. Because you get what Neil just pointed out, what refracted says about it's not mathematics. We've got the flat Earth measurement, yeah, and that's all we've got, yeah. And then they have to lie about being in the centre of a ball then, yeah. And so there's lies involved. It's not mathematics, it's lies. After we've measured the surface flat and horizontal and level, lies have to come into it. Obviously, lies have to come into it because the Earth isn't a globe, so you have to lie about it. It's the only way something you can do, really.
Well, you are violating principles. So yeah, I guess it is a lie.
The whole thing starts out with an impossible physics when you're talking about the motions that the Earth is supposedly going through. Nobody feels anything, but we're traveling 4 different speeds, and that last speed is 1.5 million miles an hour.
But
please get out of your delusion.
Yeah, but
what you skipping past?
You're going into the globe there. Sorry.
Well, just going to say, to get those speeds, you're deriving them mathematically from elevation angle measurements to create a ball to put it in orbital motion. So in other words, to create the orbital motion to derive the speed values, you've got to measure Earth flat first to create orbital motion with, to then give it a speed.
But it's really not a speed, and you know nothing about speed. That's the answer.
Well, it's not that, it's just you've derived the speed from mathematical derivations of flat Earth prerequisites.
When you're talking about like the 1,000 mile spin, that's just the 1 revolution per day. It's not really speed. That's what they tell you. You don't know anything about speed.
Yeah, but now you're going back to debunking
miles an hour does
heliocentrism.
not mean they. Say that again? Yep.
Yeah, you're going. This is what we're talking about, mate. So you're going into disprove the globe mode now. That's what you're doing. You don't have to, because in order to talk about a globe, you're going to have to go to Eratosthenes, and he measured flat. So there's no globe.
You just have to point out the incredible imaginary speeds, and then say, okay, if you are believing that, you're delusional. You don't have to go to a curve. You don't have to do anything. Just hit them with the speeds. It's all over.
Where'd you get the speed from?
No.
Now,
Measurements.
From a
Mate.
book.
No, but the book.
this is the
It's been
mistake.
changing, by the way.
Hold on. This is the mistake Witsit was making. You have to prove that the Earth is not spinning at certain speeds. No, you don't. You just have to prove that it's measured flat. That takes the whole globe away. So what spin are we talking about?
So you can think about
no globe to
traveling
spin.
1.5 million miles an hour, and that's not a problem. Let's go to the curve. Is that what you're saying?
But no, because that's Keplerian orbital motion, and Keplerian orbital motion's derived from the base principle of taking a flat Earth measurement and converting it into sphericity based on a radial value of 3959. That 3959 has come from measuring Earth flat, so that you can have Kepler and Huygens give you scale and orbital motion. So the order is measure Earth with an angle, derive a radius, and then you can create orbital motion. That's Kepler. And then you can give it a scale and a speed. That's Huygens. So step 1, measure Earth flat. Step 4 is the speed. Hold on, I'm just going to read out a couple of super chats. So shout out to Super Mo Shady. Whoa, what a wonderful name. Thank you for the super chat. Does triangles proves flat Earth, then says how it proves Earth is a globe? That's his thing. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's exactly what he does. Takes his flat Earth measurements. And it's only when someone comes along and says, well, you're measuring Earth flat to achieve that he goes, well, I don't want to use that measurement anymore then, because you'll just say I'm proving Earth flat. Yeah, we will, because you are. But that will be eventually why people, the general public, point at you and call you a liar. Because you know damn well that you're measuring Earth flat to suggest you're on a ball. We're pointing it out daily. Also, shout out to One Mind, One Spirit 42, who says, Merry Christmas, Nathan. Thank you very much, both of you, for the super chats.
Also, we went over McKeegan. I'm not. Dave's listening. I'm not asked about giving you digs, Dave, and all that. I'm not bothered, but I'm just pointing out the error of your ways, which was the Eratosthenes way. And then we went over he was saying surveyors measure curve. We went over the video, didn't we, about not measuring Earth, just measuring, zenith angles to lighthouses and turning the angles between distances, which is a linear measurement between lighthouses, and working out that they might, shit shrinks. Which isn't anything to do with, in his mind, he's like, well, we'll talk about Eratosthenes, but we're going to measure, lighthouses with a theodolite, which is an elevation angle measuring piece of equipment, not measuring curvature, and measuring lighthouses, not the Earth, just something, the elevation of something that's on the Earth. This is where they are now. So there's another point.
Have you ever dealt with the Jesse Path of Light?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I think I didn't allow him to use any of my 30 words. I don't think he liked that much.
Go on, what was your point, Hap? What about him?
Well, yeah, because these guys are getting out theodolites right in there, and he's up in the mountains, and he has one also where he's at the shore and he sees a sign, and he's trying to show on the side orthographical view that he's looking over the sign because light curves, and the light that's coming into his camera is curving, and that's why he can see over the sign. But if you look at the front of the picture, you can see past the sign already. You can see over the sign. But the way the perspective works is that shit shrinks and it changes. So the orthographical, what do you call Muppet view, right? It doesn't work. But he's still trying to do these things. These people, they keep the same height when it's not the same height. Even though the material object is the same height, the perspective is no longer that height. So this is what he's doing over a worldwide debate. I mean, I can't deal with any of these servers at all because there's misinformation in all of them.
Yeah, but it comes to a point
I heard
where
somebody from 24/7 say, and I wrote this down because it blew my mind. So he said that you can wait, let me find this exactly. He said, talks about not being able to calculate speed and time. All right, so speed and time doesn't give you distance. miles per hour, and time doesn't give you distance, is what he said. And then he said, you can't get your speed without knowing the distance. Now, do you understand how absolutely abject retarded those two statements are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is the point
That's
that
one
people,
of your big guys over at the Flat Earth.
this is the point that people
24/7.
leave the subject matter. So in the case of conspiracy cats, now called culture cats, at the point did he recognise that you can only measure perspective on a flat Earth, quote, I'll give you a flat Earth for that, end quote, culture cats. That's the point that he buggered off and gave his channel up to some raving lunatic who was shouting about no guns. That's why.
Yeah,
because they recognise that they have to lie from that point forth.
Harp, I don't want to boast, Harp, but it seems...
This was a
I'm
flat
gonna say
earther,
it.
Nathan.
Hold on, Harp. I'm going
This
to
was
say it
one
right
of their
now.
main flat earthers.
Hold on, Neil.
Sorry, I think you... Did you misunderstand that I was saying it was a Glober?
Yeah, I thought it was a Glober.
It was
that you were
one of the
talking about.
main flat earthers over there. I'm not going to name any names.
I know who you're
It's all-
talking about. That's why I'm trying to get in, but you keep cutting me off.
Okay, go
You're
ahead.
not going to hear. You're not going to hear anything that you want to hear until you come over here, because we're the only ones talking about it now. They put a list together of things that are not right to say as a flat earther or bad arguments. Over here, we have flipped it. It's not an argument. It's a measurement. End of story.
Right.
Yeah. The minute you talk about distance, you're talking about a linear measurement, right? So that's
Correct.
straight away.
All right, now, hold
horizontal,
on.
straight.
Now, I got
And
a
when
big,
you make-
huge bone with the
2
definitions
seconds,
here.
mate. 2
Just one
seconds.
sec.
Hang on a minute. Whoa.
I know what you're going to say,
2
though.
seconds. And you
Let him say
mentioned...
it.
Go ahead.
Hang on. Yeah, 1 minute, mate. Let me finish then. And you mentioned time. Time is also a horizontal flat Earth measurement. So you've got time and distance. There's your 2 flat Earth proofs right there.
All right, now I forgot what I was going to say.
It was going to be something about the anti-globers that don't seem to want to use actual flat Earth evidence. It's because they're too wrapped up in being anti-globers and arguing for how it's not a globe. Those people that you're talking about on those servers, I don't consider them flat earthers anymore. I see them as anti-globers. And when they say, well, these are good arguments, those are bad arguments. No. You want to argue against a globe, begging the question and ignoring how flat Earth must be measured to create that globe that you want to brace against. All you are, the people who call themselves flat earthers, is anti-globers. That's all you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I have a problem with a couple of definitions of words. One is mile. Okay, mile is a linear measurement. That's a definition. That's the definition that you find. Linear, the definition for linear is a straight or nearly straight line. Now, how the hell do you go to the Indianapolis 500 and watch those cars drive 500 miles in a circle or an oval if it's only a linear measurement? How do you drive down the road and make a turn and your odometer keeps working in miles for some reason, but it's only a linear measurement? Now you're going around the circles, you know what I mean? You're going up mountains. It's definitely giving you the distance if you're going up the hypotenuse of the triangle of the mountain, right? It's not giving you the elevation angle.
Yeah, on a
giving you the
tacho.
miles.
But what we're talking about isn't on a tacho or using a wheel or on an oval. We're talking about how Earth gets measured. So when we talk about how Earth is ascribing miles in terms of distance, you're talking about how Earth is mapped and charted with scales that are useful in terms of practical application.
Nathan, these are the actual
measurements.
definitions, not just of the Earth.
But that's
These are
what
the definitions of mile and linear.
Yeah, but that's what we're talking about. This is flat Earth debate. In terms of where we measure Earth, where maps and charts come in, we measure Earth with miles, and they are straight, flat, and linear. That's what you see on the scale of the map.
It's got a curve measurement, mate.
No one's going to argue that Earth's flat based on the bowl circumference and how many miles you travel in a car. Who gives a crap? When we're talking about Earth measurements, it's how Earth's been measured. The miles are flat and linear in that regard.
Yeah, that's where it derived from. That's their inception. Nobody's saying you can't go around the track and gain miles. Who said that? Nobody said that.
Yeah,
No, I know.
you're right,
They
Neil.
say you
in the
do
first
gain
instance,
miles.
In
red
the
herring.
first instance, it's a straight horizontal measurement.
Exactly.
That's
So
At inception,
then you can
correct.
do what you want with it.
if your opponent starts to say things like that, well, what about on a racetrack? Sorry, are we measuring Earth with racetracks? No, that's a red herring. In terms of how Earth gets measured, it's flat, horizontal, linear measurement of miles for the scales on the maps, for the distance. If you're going to describe a distance with rise over run and describe the rise and fall of the topology, you're describing the distance as flat. It's the only way it can be described. Well, those are the Earth measurements. That's geography.
Okay, I got an answer in the chat about on the oval track. Your inner wheels are turning less than your outer wheels, 2 different distances. What the hell kind of retardation is that?
Well, that's latching onto the red herring. So it's like, okay, so are we arguing about how far we travel on a racetrack or how Earth gets measured?
No, how miles are defined. I have not mentioned anything other than how miles are actually defined in the frickin' definition when you go look at it. Miles are defined as a linear distance, and linear is defined as a straight or nearly straight line. That doesn't say anything about Earth. Understand? It's
Nearly
just defined
straight.
that way.
That's the scale that we use to measure Earth. So you don't have to use miles, you could use kilometres. Now, if you term kilometres and then look at the origins, you can introduce sphericity and ambiguity.
I can't believe you're not getting this. We're not talking about the Earth.
Oh, he's got it,
We're
mate.
just talking about
He's got it, mate. Don't worry.
driving a mile.
No, I'm not. When I talk about miles, I'm not talking about driving anything. I'm talking about how Earth is measured, specifically.
I don't think that's how the definition is derived. It doesn't say, anything about the Earth. I'm not going to say that again.
It says about measurements, though, doesn't it?
Just defines the mile as a linear measurement. And then it defines linear as a straight or nearly straight line. Now, if you're driving down the road, you're accumulating miles that are none of that.
Okay, so you're saying that when you drive a car, you defy the principle of measurement of miles?
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
It's a good job that we're not in car debate, then, eh?
Exactly. What about on the sea? What about those nautical races? What about a ship that travels 2,000 miles across the sea? Are they going around in circles from one landmass to another landmass?
They're not. They're using charts and plotting how far they'll go in distance terminology. And the distance is linear and flat and horizontal on the chart with the scale that Earth has been measured with.
Hop, what are you trying to say, Hop? Because maybe we're missing it.
I'll say no.
Yeah, you're missing
it.
I have a problem with the definition. I'll say it one more time.
Let me just finish.
The definitions that you're giving.
I get it.
I have to post the definitions for you to understand this.
No, you don't. What you're not getting, right? And then what you're saying
I'm getting it. I have a problem with the definition.
Listen, if you let me finish, mate, just let me finish, then you can have a go then. So I know exactly what you're saying and what your confusion is. You're saying the miles measured straight, linear, straight, and but then when we're saying we're going so many miles, we can go up, over a hill, round a circle, up and down. Yeah, you can. That's fine. But the original measurement of mile
you're breaking
is
the
a
definition.
You missed it, and Hop.
Keep cutting him off.
You need to change your mate to Harp and never hear the end of anyone's points. That's what you should change your name to.
One more time, one day.
Because your point has been repeated several times, and it's not what I'm saying.
So what's his
This
point?
is the problem with you guys that I constantly
What's my point,
see
then?
with your communication and your misunderstanding of simple frickin' words. The definition, if you look these things up, tell you that miles are straight. But when you're driving down the road and you make turns, miles are no longer straight. So I have a problem with the definition.
Are you serious? You're going to repeat that?
Originally, Harp, you're not listening. Let me just say it one more time. Originally, Harp, when the mile was measured, it was a horizontal distance. in the first instance. It comes from horizontal.
That's what I said. At its inception.
Okie dokie.
Do you understand now, Harp?
What Harp is saying
After that, you can do what you want.
if you
Sorry.
measure with a taco, it's not going to meet the definition of what a mile is, even though on the taco you've got the word mile next to a little rolly number. Okay. Well, like someone pointed
Now
out in the
you
chat,
get
it's
it.
like-
Finally.
yeah. So when you're measuring distance with a taco, it doesn't meet the definition because you've got, for a start, if you're going around a bend, two different tires going at two different distances, so it's inaccurate. So in a car, your mile is inaccurate and doesn't meet the definition. But that's
I didn't
not what
say
we...
that, though. I didn't say about the tire. I read somebody else's words. I'm just telling you that I have a problem with the definitions. Also, it's Eratosthenes, not Aristosthenes.
Eratosthenes.
Well, I don't care what his name is. He was measuring angles using the surface of Earth. They claim it's waterproof, and it's not. As the Greeks, we'll call it the Greeks. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't get angry about the Greeks measuring Earth flat, because that's what they did.
You have like
And
a
they
smart ass
derived the
problem.
mile.
And Dave McKeegan knows that.
No, just go back. How did they derive the mile? Right? The inch, the yard. Were they arced or were they straight and linear?
Straight and linear.
Well,
End of story.
well, the nautical miles are achieved with sea level. Yeah, 0 degrees sea level baseline, which is
Correct.
elevation profile for all elevation profiles across Earth. Sorry, I mean mean sea level. And that's how latitude is measured at sea level to and from Polaris. There's another mile using sea level on the horizontal baseline. No curvature involved whatsoever with any of these distances. All linear, all straight, all level, all horizontal. Never a mention of curvature.
Right. So when you're going up a mountain, down a mountain, around the valley, okay. So what? What are they derived from? How are you going to get your measurement? What's going to be the constant?
Quick shout out to Fergus Red Nose. Sorry to cut you off, Neil. You just dropped a super chat. And I didn't shout him out. Thank you very much for the super chat, Fergus Red Nose. 2547.
Yes, thank you. Donate to Nathan Oakley immediately.
Sorry, Neil.
No,
I think I don't know Harp that well, but I think Harp sounds like he's having a few issues with the anti-flat earthers or globe deniers. And they're dragging you into nonsense, mate. They're dragging you into nonsense. And you're taking the bait off them.
Yeah, you could end them all by just
I'm
sticking to
sorry,
measurements.
because I have a definition problem with the couple of words that I see in the dictionary.
No.
That?
If you would just hold them to task on a measurements, Harp, they wouldn't take you around some freaking racetrack.
Nobody took me around a racetrack. I took myself around the racetrack. I could have gone around with furlongs, with its horse. No, it was my thinking. I'm not talking about any globers. I'm not parroting anybody.
Right. So have you got a problem with Earth being measured flat?
Obviously not. I don't like the definition of mile.
Oh, so you don't like the definition. All right. Do you not like it because it says...
because mile should just be a distance forward.
I agree.
mean, if you're... Look at... so here's what you could do, right? You could travel in a zigzag 30 miles and only go 10 miles forward. Right? That's where you get in your straight line. And I understand all this thing, but it should be defined better. Like, I have a problem with lots of definitions. So that was just one that really irks me all the time because constantly linear,
Well, you better buckle up because they're going to be changing a lot more definitions, Hop.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe you shouldn't go down that road with a mile, Harp. Maybe you should just stick to sea level.
I'm
see,
about
that's one thing you
545 feet above it.
Yeah, it's the 0 degree baseline for all elevation profiles on Earth.
Yeah.
Just stick with sea level. Don't talk about miles then, if it's bothering.
Now, if I was a glober, yes, sea level's curving.
So how do you deal
that's
with
a contradiction in
Webster's-
terms.
Say
How do you
again?
deal? Okay, never mind.
How do we deal with what?
Neil said that's a contradiction in terms. Sea level is curving.
No, there's
Obviously.
a definition for level and there's a definition for curve. They're both not the same.
Well, one relies on the other.
That's exactly correct.
Exactly, Nathan.
To define a curve, you need the horizontal to have it deviate from. So to say
That's correct.
horizontal bends or horizontal curving is violating the axiomatic definition of the curvature because you require horizontal to be straight to define the curve with.
And a lot of people out here don't know the definitions that are good, like horizon.
Right, I agree.
Horizontal to them is curving.
Yeah, it's idiotic.
That's another contradiction.
I know. I know.
Right,
See, this
on
is
that
why I
note.
don't like to get into these. I don't like to do it. I don't. It's
Well,
measured
if
flat.
you're
you don't
arguing
like it.
semantics with a moron, then yeah, you're gonna. It's like wrestling pigs, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
On
like,
that note, though, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
So it would do him good to just stay here.
I think everybody should stay here, Neil.
oh, you're talking to you muted. Yeah, I think the silence is because he's actually ending the show.
Yeah, once you start dealing with people who are denying what level and horizontal is, which we all know and we've known from school, then, like Nathan said, you're wrestling with pigs. You can either end the conversation there because they're talking absolute nonsense and lying because they've got to keep their belief alive and change definitions of words. So you just end the conversation because you're not having a serious adult conversation with somebody who's changing definitions of words. You know what they mean. We all know what level means. We all know what horizontal means. We all know what vertical means, perpendicular, level. You know, we know these words. We know the definitions of them. And all them words I've just mentioned are used to measure Earth. Flat, horizontal, and level.
Yeah, I've saved myself a lot of stress, a lot of hypertension, whatever you want to call it, a lot of anxiety, just by having my disingenuous liar radar on. And I can sense it right away. And I just block them or I just end the conversation. I don't waste my time. I don't think it's now children, I will make it my business to try to make sure that, but I know what adults are doing. I just detect a BS artist. You can just tell.
Yeah. It's like they just come up with all sorts of level is equidistant from the centre of Earth up to the sea level. I listened to a bit of your show, Arthur. Brenda was on there. I mean, she talks absolute nonsense. She's just getting that her definition of level equidistant from the centre of a globe. She's just confusing that with that's a radius. It's nothing to do with level, just a line from the centre of a sphere to the circumference. And she's saying that's level. It's just that she's just describing a radius. That's all she was doing.
So that's the only reason I go along with this conversation, because I want this on record. These globers and other philosophers earlier that I've talked to here from India, I just want them to say this, that the surface of a sphere by that definition is level, and they say it with a straight face. And that's all I want recorded on my channel. That's the reason
that's
I
a
go along with this
contradiction too.
Yeah, of course that is, because Brenda was telling me about this definition of level and at the same time talking about how level flat surfaces can be. So obviously when I put it to her that, do you agree with this definition that level means no point higher or lower than another? She said, yes, on a sphere, 2 points, which are exactly equidistant from the surface, are not higher or lower than another. So that's plain and simple doublespeak. That's all I could point out. Who cares?
Yes, the thing about a sphere is
He
there are no
also
level
says, I'm a
surfaces
woman,
on
but I have a
sphere.
penis.
We don't have to go there, huh? Mic check. Can somebody give me a mic check, please?
Just pointing out that you don't usually go and get advice from people that don't know what sex they are.
Hart, I'm with you 1,000%. I don't even believe. Brenda the dude, that's what I say. Brent, not no she, he, him, him.
Yeah, but why get into all of
right.
that? That's the reason why they do that.
Why
They don't
tell a
even
lie?
get into it.
Why tell a lie?
That doesn't matter.
Why tell a lie?
Yeah, but
I know.
lying.
Hold on. I know men that are named Ashley.
I didn't say I didn't call him Brenda, but that guy is named Ashley or Alex or Tony with an I.
So I just
He's
call,
still-
if the person tells me
nobody
their name
said
is
the name.
Brenda, no, what I'm saying is
Brenda has nothing to do with the gender.
right.
That's
What I'm saying is when somebody tells me their name, that's what I call them. I don't get into, well, that's a man. That's a, they want you to do that. They want.
No.
Brenda wants to take you far away from the argument. What Brenda said was that you can have flat surfaces on a sphere. The unique thing about a sphere is there are no flat surfaces.
Exactly.
So she's in a contradiction already.
Whoa, hold on now. Hold on a second.
Completely agree.
now.
if you're up
Let
on
me
a nice
finish. Let
spherical
me
hill-
respond. Let me respond.
Hold on, because I've been in lakes that are on beautifully circular hills. So that's not true. You can't have a lake on a hill.
There are no level
There you go.
surfaces on a sphere.
Okay, so let's take a half a sphere, like a hill, and put a pond on top of it.
That's not a sphere, Hop. You're taking the definition of a
Okay.
sphere away.
It's a hill. You're
Okay,
talking about
let's
a hill
build
now.
a giant sphere and put a little level pond on top of it.
It's not a sphere
You
anymore.
can't.
Oh my God.
That's the whole thing. They
level
got you.
sphere.
They got you thinking. No, they got you thinking that you can have level lakes on a sphere. You can't, and nobody can make that observation because nobody has ever been on a sphere to make that observation to say you can't or you can. If you want to be technical. Every observation you made, Hop, I made, Nathan, One Deck, Original D Rose, Flat Author, we've all made observations and they've all been made from a flat plane. Why? Because it's measured that way.
Yeah.
You said you can't have flat water on a globe, right? You can make a globe,
You need a globe.
right?
You've
then
got
you
no
can
globe, mate.
dig a pool,
Your globe came
and you
from
can
flat
dig a
Earth
pool.
elevation angle measurements.
Wow.
No, you can't. What they need is level to be curving, don't they, Harp?
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about.
No, but that's what they need.
You said
That's how they
you said you couldn't have
redefine.
a
You said
flat
it yourself.
surface on a
Let
sphere.
me just address you.
Oh, you can.
Let me just address
You
what you
can't.
said, please. If they require sea level to be curving, and then you say, well, you can have level lakes on a ball, you're like, well, you can't have it both ways. You can't suggest that you've got an axiomatic defiance in the form of curve level, and then say, but we can have the adherence to the axiomatic principle of horizontal and level also. You can't have it both ways. Either you stick by your violation of the definition, that's level being level, or you don't. You don't say, well, level curves, but we can still have level lakes, meaning that they're straight and not bending. It's like, which one do you want? Do you want it to violate the definition or not?
No, I'm just putting a flat body of water on top of a globe. Very simple.
You
just dig
can.
it out.
Okay, Hop.
Yeah,
What
that's
they
just
did,
words.
here's what they did, Hop. Give
But
me a
if you
second.
make a
What they
globe
did,
out of dirt, please be
hold on.
quiet.
What they did,
If you make
Hop,
a
give me
globe out of dirt and you go to the top of the globe and dig it out and pour water in it, do you have a flat surface?
that's inside. Number one, they duped us with that.
Oh, okay, that's inside.
Zooming out in the globe
Oh,
so
it's
far
still a
out that
globe.
it becomes flat. That's nonsense. There are no flat surfaces on a
Here's
sphere.
the problem
You're
with your
digging
globe.
in a
Your
sphere now,
globe is
Hop.
spinning. The globe is spinning, so there could be no water on it to begin with.
Here we go.
If you
See,
make
this
a
is
dirt globe,
See, Hop, what you are is
you
a
tell me
globe
I'm wrong.
debunker.
That if you make a dirt globe, dig out the top 2 feet down or whatever, a small distance, and pour water in there, it's not flat.
Is that on a globe or in a globe?
It's
Exactly.
You got to dig it out.
You're inside of a
aren't
globe.
the oceans dug out? On the
Not
actual globe?
on a
I'm
globe,
not
they're
saying
not.
water's bending.
Not on a
God
globe,
damn,
they're
you guys
not,
can't
Hop.
What about the side? What about the side and the bottom, Hop?
You've been deceived that there's some globe somewhere. And now you're making
What
all
about the
excuses how it
side
can
and
be
the
done.
bottom? Obviously, you can't stick flat water on the sides or the bottom, only the top.
Well, that's what they say.
You said you
There are
couldn't
no
have
flat-
flat
I'll say it
water
again.
on a freaking globe, and I proved you wrong.
I'll say it again. There are no flat surfaces on a sphere, and I'll stand by that till the day I die.
Okay, well, you go ahead.
Yeah,
and
but
I'm not
listen,
talking
Neil.
about the world as a globe. I'm talking about a sphere. So go in your backyard,
You're talking
make a
words,
dirt
Hop.
sphere,
Hop.
dig out the
Hop.
top, and
Shut
pour
up a
some
minute.
water in there, bro.
It's
and
not a
it's
sphere
flat.
anymore.
Yeah.
Still not a flat
Oh,
surface.
for God's sake. You're just
To
talking
be fair-
words, mate. You've never done this. This is in your mind, Harp, in your
Yeah.
imagination. You haven't done
Correct.
Are
any
you
of this. You're
retarded?
just talking.
Are you telling me that you
Talking
can't
nonsense.
dig out a spot in a globe that you create out of dirt and put water in it? Are you
To be
Flat, you
retarded?
do it. You do
Everyone
it and
stop for a
show me.
second. Stop.
Ain't
You're confusing two different terms. So if you're going to say sphere, and then you modify the sphere so that it's got a dip in it so you can put water in it so the water can level, then that's no longer a sphere. If you then change the terminology to globe, then you're specifically referencing the world.
Yep.
Well, in their world reference, there is no such thing as horizontal and level, because they believe, incorrectly, in a violation of a terminology, that level curves. So according to them, the lake would curve in line with a gravitational pull. That's what they believe. They violate the axiomatic principle of horizontal on a globe, because they can't then use the flat earth measurements in defiance of what a globe actually is, unless they suggest it violates its own axiom. So they don't have level lakes ever. In any circumstances, they think the water, sea level, bends around the globe. So there is no level lakes for them, which is what you're fighting for. You're saying, well, you can have level lakes on a globe. No, you can't. They think level bends. It doesn't. It's nonsense. But that means that they don't get to then say, oh, well, we can have level lakes. What do you mean you have level lakes? As in genuine level? I thought your level bent. Violating its own definition.
Hey, Nathan, the example he gave, I'm gonna give even more of a crazy answer. This is way back. And the gentleman said, "Well, Earth is not a perfect sphere. It said, look at it as like a nugget. It's a globular shaped nugget with canyons and deviations inside of it, and that's where the water is. Same example as he said is the top of this golf course hump or this half a basketball, and you dig a crater out of it and pour water in it. It's still stupid, even if you think it in a fantastical manner. When it comes to their rhetoric, it's still
The point
stupid.
is,
because,
I was told that you cannot do that, and you absolutely can.
but that's work. That's
I'm
not even
not
worth an
talking about
argument.
the Earth. I'm talking about a globe, a sphere.
No,
Just
but it's
like
not a
said,
sphere.
you
Globe-
can't have water on a sphere.
You've done it
And I
again.
said, yes, you
You
can.
can't. There are no level surfaces on a sphere.
Hold on, stop.
Hold on. What did he say?
Hello?
Wait.
Hello?
Hop just said you can't have water on a sphere.
Hello, can you hear me? No, you've done it again. When you say globe, you're talking about Earth being spherical.
I'm not talking about Earth.
That's what
I'm
globe
talking
means.
My God,
Globe
how many
means.
times do I have to say you go out back and you make a mud out of mud, dirt, dirt, sphere. Make a sphere like a snowman, right? Then you cut out a square on the top and put some water in it.
shit.
Wait,
It
hold on, time out.
remains
We
a
covered this already.
globe from the side.
not a
You
sphere
cannot
anymore.
tell there's a flat anything inside that.
Well, it's not a
From
sphere
looking
anymore.
from the side, you would never see it. So
Then
it
it's not a
remains
sphere
globe.
anymore. You're just not listening.
Wait, I think
Hop,
it's you
you
guys
gotta
that aren't
stop
listening.
and listen every now and then, Hop.
Please let me
Yeah,
interject.
maybe you could visualize a
you-
big mud
You're
sphere.
convoluting two
I won't
terms.
say globe again, okay? Maybe you could visualize a big dirt sphere in your backyard.
Oh
you
my
go to the
God!
word,
Please don't do it
You keep
again.
doing it. You're not
Oh my
listening
God.
to me. Globe and
Holy
sphere.
crap.
My God. Globe and sphere are two different words, aren't they? They've got two different meanings. When you say globe and then say you can do it, no, you have to adhere to their contradiction in terms, which is no level surfaces because level is bent. Then you say, well, you can still have a level lake. No, for them, it violates its own axiom. It bends. There is no such thing as level ever on a
When
globe.
did I say any of the
I
things
haven't
you're
finished
saying
talking.
right now?
Shut up! On a globe, that's meeting their violations of their axioms. But then you convolute it and then say sphere, and then you say, well, if I dig out a hole in a sphere, well, then it's not a sphere anymore.
Correct.
Now, please, may I say something? You are recording this, right, Nathan?
Yes.
Okay. You will hear him say on a globe, on a sphere several times, and you will repeat back to him on a globe, on a sphere. And then whether it's a snowman, a basketball, or whether it's a snow cone, I don't care what it is, shaped globular, a sphere, then he will then go into digging a hole. On and in are two different things. Don't say on
Exactly.
and then dig out a hole and then put it in.
No, but Nathan hit it right in the head. Once you dig it out, it's not a sphere anymore.
Thank you. I mean, it's a sphere with a bite with a hole in it.
No, it's not a sphere.
That's correct.
It's on.
It's a sphere with a bite out of it. Is exactly correct.
No, then it's not a sphere
on.
anymore. You obviously did not hear or understand the word Nathan said.
Does he understand
Once
the
you
difference between
dig
on and
something
in?
out, it is no longer a sphere.
Once you dig something out and put it in, is no longer on. Period. It's not on.
Forget
Putting
it.
it
I
on
give up
my
with
head,
this shit.
putting a hat on my head and digging a hole out of my head and putting a doggone grape in it is not putting a grape on my head. You're digging a hole in my head.
D-Rose,
Okay?
I understand what you're
So
saying.
don't get into it. It's not a sphere anymore because he's going to
It's
keep going
not.
back and forth.
But
He's going to keep going back and forth.
Here's the whole thing. You are getting into it. Once you prove that, well, then what you're talking about is not a sphere. End of story.
Yeah, the Greeks measured Earth flat, mate. There's no globe to actually talk about. The evidence of a globe is
One deck. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
if I make a rectangle and dig out a top of the rectangle, is it a rectangle anymore?
Yeah.
No, because it no longer has four sides.
AI defines it. So key difference, specifically, sphere is a broad geometric term, while globe refers to something specific, Earth.
Bingo.
That's why I stopped saying globe.
I've never heard the word globe more times on Flat Earth Debate than today.
I don't know about that.
Maybe you just thought you were hearing the word globe so many times, and a lot of it was the word sphere.
No, you would switch it up when it was convenient for you. I can go back and listen.
Until I realized that you guys go by globe as, and the definition for globe is same to Earth. So, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Sphere.
Well, I'll tell you what we have heard, Harp. Eye level and surface level parallel with each other. We've heard that a few times.
Yeah. So a sphere.
Yeah,
you guys
it's
just can't
derived
imagine
from,
things. You can't see things in your mind. It's amazing.
Flat Earth elevation angle measurements. There is no globe except for in the mathematics, which we could argue
That's
about
great.
that.
Why are you guys treating me like a glober when I'm talking to you about things that are facts?
Yeah, Earth is measured flat. That's a fact. There's no globe to talk about.
Yeah, globe is an imagination, so there's no fact at all when you're speaking about a globe.
Well, to be fair, also
There's no measurements. There's no measurements of a globe.
Hi, Matthias. To be fair, what?
To be fair, Harp, the blind faith heliocentric cultists believe that the globe has water contouring around the whole exterior surface of
Precisely.
it. Or actually the majority of the surface, not just one certain area.
Yeah, nobody said to me that I can't bend water. I didn't say I could bend water. Never did that.
You can't, but they require it to be so. So there are no level lakes on a... My God, I don't need to know that you know in the middle of my sentence, thank you, Harp. So on a globe, there are no level surfaces. They, as just pointed out by Matthias, are defined by them as contouring around the shape of their spherical belief. That is to say, there are no level lakes in their world. A level lake doesn't exist.
And you guys think you're like teaching me shit? Because you're not. You're just not understanding the things I say.
It's not that we're thinking that we're teaching you stuff. There's an audience at large.
Well, hopefully the audience at large understands a pile of dirt in their backyard shaped into a sphere.
Oh my God, not again, Hawk.
You know, Neil,
Really?
why don't you STFU?
Really? We're going to start digging holes out? You know something? Here's the thing.
Hey, why
I
don't
thought
you
about
shut
this
the
years
fuck
ago.
up? How's
Hold
that?
on.
No swearing.
And I brought it to the panel, and I said, could it possibly be a globe? I mean, look at a ping pong ball. It's got all little deviations, and the oceans are not right on the surface. They're dug down deep in. I went over this years ago. What was I doing? I was entertaining the globe.
So I have not said globe until just then. You guys are the ones now saying globe, and I'm not talking about a globe.
All right, where else are there oceans? Where else do they claim that there are oceans on a sphere other than a globe?
Did you ever see somebody make a snowman or a sphere out of anything? I know you never went fishing, for God's sake.
I made many a snowman.
You fall into the on and in definition. We're talking about on and in. Let's give
You're
him his
right.
sphere.
Let's call it in. It's in. You're correct.
There you go.
That's
Don't
correct.
say on, because whether it's a basketball, we're not talking about the earth. Like I'm agreeing with you, Hart. We're talking about a sphere. You cannot put leveled anything on a sphere. You can put it in a sphere.
Right.
You can dig out the same hole in the snowman and put a pencil in it from one edge of the hole to the other and make that pencil level. But it's not.
It won't be level.
It's not on the. Stop it. It's not on the snowball. It's in the snowball.
In.
Okay.
You're correct.
But it's still not level to me.
It's not on. It's not on.
Yeah,
If
but
you put water in that hole,
even
it's
if
not
I agree
level.
with you,
Water's
it's still not
level.
level.
Okay, so let's take it in building forms. Let's take it in building forms. What would you build? Let's say a banister head. A banister head. You know the banister crowns and the banister head, them circular ones that be on the bottom of the banister post, and it's spherical. Okay, let's say if I'm an architect and I said I want to make a dope design, I'm gonna cut a hole into the top of this banister cap, and I'm gonna put a metal bar or a pearl bar across one side of the inside to the other. You're gonna try to tell me that you can't make that metal bar going across from one edge to the inner edge level, Neil?
On the inside, yes, of course.
Okay, then what?
But that's not a sphere anymore. It's not on a sphere.
Would you listen to me? You're already agreeing with me, but you're trying to disagree with me because you want to make your point.
No,
on and in.
you're saying, no, hold on, D-Rose. I understand exactly what you're saying. D-Rose, you talked about water, and water will go to the surface, therefore, in no level surfaces. Then you went immediately to a metal rod in the middle of the freaking door banister.
Look, you're missing the point. I had to do that to you because you couldn't understand the fact that I was saying.
No, I understood perfectly. Neil, it's still not going to be a level surface on a sphere.
Neil, you keep saying on, but then when I make the point that on and in is different from what his argument is of digging a hole into it, you want to debate with me.
Okay, no, D-Rose, because you're saying in, but eventually there's going to be a surface to that water of that hole you dug out, correct? And that surface is going to be on top of that sphere, correct?
Neil, what's wrong with you? He's saying on, which means he debunks himself. You can't say
I was saying on because you're on top. That's why I was saying on. I agree to in.
I'm exposing Harp's error in his argument, whether he's sincere or not. You can't say on a sphere and then give an example by digging a hole into, because in and on are two different things. So Harp is wrong. You're not catching that. You're going back and forth.
I am catching that, but what you're saying is in your
my God,
in your demonstration, You're talking
The last
about
demonstration I gave was because I was trying to say to you, you can't dig anything and put anything in that and make it level.
This is so retarded to me. I can't even believe I'm in this conversation. I'm going to say it
I
one
never
more
used
time.
the
Here's the
water.
thing with
There
the
are no, I'm not
badging
talking
ball,
about you, D-Rose.
So you gotta,
There are no flat
you got a
surfaces
hole.
on a sphere.
Who's digging a hole now?
you got a ball in the banister, right? And you drill a hole in the top and you put some water in there. The water is going to be flat. It's not going to contort. Well, if it's small enough, it might, almost contort, whatever.
God, see, I told you.
But it's not going to contort to the curve. It's going to be flat, but you won't see it because it's in.
Yeah,
Which I was making a mistake in saying on because I was on top. And that's why I made
if you
that
dig a,
mistake.
if you dig a hole,
really
and
conceded.
if
Hold on.
it's 2
Hold on,
miles,
everyone
if it's
stop.
2 mile
Hold
long,
on.
that'll be
Hello?
a linear,
Hello?
a linear
Stop,
distance
stop,
of the hole.
stop.
Yeah.
Hello? D-Rose, he just conceded your point.
Long ago. You guys weren't listening. Go back and listen to your own shows once in a while. Long ago, I conceded to in.
Jolly good.
And like I said, there are no flat surfaces on a sphere.
Stop saying on. We know that already, Neil.
On the
Gotta
top,
get that point clear.
in the center.
Yeah, and that's the equatorial plane. They did that with measurements of their globe derived from flat Earth. They have to go inside the sphere. They have to cut it in half because you need a flat plane of reference to get any sort of measurement. You can't get any measurements off a curved surface. It don't work.
Yeah, and sea
was a
level's
bad
level. I
statement.
mean sea level.
I find that when you make these weird statements, they're so ambiguous. You just said you can't measure a curve, which was
No, I did not.
completely
I said you
ambiguous.
can't get any measurements off a curved
From a
surface.
curve.
You have to have that level baseline when you're talking about measurements.
To do what?
Angular measurements. Be specific. Angular measurements.
On the Earth,
Any
right?
type of measurements. You need that flat plane of reference. How are you measuring a plane, right, flying for 150 miles at 30,000 feet? What do you need? You need a flat plane of reference to derive it from. Perpendicular and horizontal, they go together. You need those two.
On a lighter note, it would be good for you to go fishing, bro. Telling you straight up, take your kid. I can't believe you never took your son fishing. I mean, that's just mind-boggling.
I did. I took my son fishing. I didn't catch nothing, though.
I literally heard you say the other day that you have never gone fishing.
I caught a fish. I took my son to the lake. He caught like a sunfish. But when I mean fishing, I mean like go out on a boat like guys do and go into the ocean and fish. Or even a lake, like a really cool lake. This was like a man-made lake we went to in a park.
Well, you gotta
I don't
go
consider
do it,
that
man.
fishing.
Where are you living now? Down south, or are you back up here?
No, now I'm in Alabama. I'm sure there are places. He wants to go hunting, so I got to take him hunting first. We got to get what do you call it? Yeah, hunting, whatever you got to get, so we can hunt this year coming up.
Yeah, hunting licenses. Yeah, fishing license. I bought my last one
Imagine
last
that.
year.
We got to get a
My wife bought it
license
for
to
my
hunt the
birthday.
land that God gave us.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I know. But I've been in a situation where they took our shit. So like, and you're maybe hundreds or even thousands of stuff of dollars is gone because you didn't buy a $30, $50 license. You know what I mean? That's the problem when you get snapped. I haven't seen a Ranger in probably 3 years. Now, when I take my license off my back, one will pull up tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Like that's Murphy's Law, right? Like when I used to wait for a bus when I was a smoker, bus would never come until I lit up that cigarette.
With the
Then a
cigarette.
bus would come.
Yeah, that's a city thing. I was in Philly. Yeah.
When
Bus
tyranny
ain't
becomes
coming, everybody get a cigarette. Hey, what, man?
when tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. You got to
That's
ask permission and pay fees just to do the basic normal things. Yeah, that's pretty tyrannical.
Yes, it sure is. I agree. One good thing, I got my license, the last one. When I turned 65, they gave me this notice. Hey, you can get one more for that's it. You're done. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But you still have to buy the trout stamp. What? Fuck the trout. Sorry. Screw the trout. Oh, I'm done buying licenses, but I collect the buttons. The buttons are cool.
Let me give Matthias a quote. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure.
That's a good one.
Say that again. It was kind of staticky or whatever.
The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural, how do you say this word? M-A-N-U-R-E, manure?
Manure.
Yeah, manure.
Yeah, manure.
What does that mean? Oh, fertilizer? Yeah, that's Thomas Jefferson.
That's what it means, manure.
And Thomas Jefferson
It's the natural fertilizer, yeah. That's why I said, oh, man, that's pretty good.
And Jefferson felt like if there wasn't this revolution every 15 to 20 years or 10 to 15 years, that's when the government will be corrupted. So it's been a long time since 1776, no? You think the government might be a little bit corrupted by then if Jefferson felt this had to take place every 10, 15 years? Like the mafia.
Nope.
When Clemente tells Michael, these things got to happen every 10, 15 years, gets rid of all the bad blood.
But government is for good works, not evil works, Neil.
Says you.
They came in, it was bullshit. Nobody ever voted, and nobody was ever voted in by a majority ever. Like there ever been since the beginning, they're all anointed, period. They're all anointed, they're the left wing and the right wing. And the burden in the center is the Vatican. And they confuse you and make you argue and sometimes kill each other because people are retarded and they can't think.
Well, here's another thing that people don't realize that even evangelical churches kick up to the Vatican. Did you know that?
Yes, I do.
They all kick up to the Vatican in Rome. All of them.
Who says you after I quoted Romans? Who was that? I thought I heard someone say, says you.
It says who?
Oh, says who?
Romans. Yeah. Oh, Romans. In the
Is
book
that
of Romans.
13? You talking about Romans 13?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it literally tells you that if you don't listen to them and do what they tell you, you're like an abomination to God and you'll be receiving eternal damnation.
Jesus said, render to Caesar what's Caesar's and to God what's God's.
Yeah,
now you can take and twist the scripture and fall for a book called Shepherds for Hire, but I don't.
There's also 2 verses, Neil, that say that everything in earth, in the heavens, on earth, belongs to the Father. Okay? And that's why I think that nobody could rebut this JC character when he said that, because they all knew that it didn't belong to Caesar to begin with. There's also another counter rebuttal to that also as well, Neil.
Hold on, but there's also someone that handed over the keys, called Adam and Eve, that handed over the keys to the world system, who's being run by Lucifer right now. Okay?
Who's Lucifer?
Right. Well, the second rebuttal to that is you're rendering the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the government. So actually, you're not rendering unto Caesar's. You're rendering unto the Federal Reserve. You're giving to the government, which is not theirs, it's the Federal Reserve's, right? I thought we went through this multiple times before, Neil.
I don't understand what you're talking about. Who's giving to what?
You don't know what I'm talking about. Shocker.
I'm living in the system that I'm living in, okay? Jesus the Son prayed that I will not be removed from the world, but that I will be protected in the world.
Whose dollar bill
Go
is
to
it?
John chapter 15.
Neil, whose dollar bill is it?
I use money to survive like everybody else does because I'm brought up in this world system. I wasn't brought up farming. I wasn't brought up with my own property. Okay, where I could go fend for myself. This is the system I was brought up in, and I use money. We need currency unless we go back to the barter system.
You didn't answer my question, Neil. You actually danced and dodged around it and proposed a non sequitur.
I don't know because I don't get into all of those conspiracies.
You don't know who owns
what's on the dollar bill.
It says Federal Reserve note on the dollar bill, Neil.
It's a promissory note.
Federal Reserve. If you would shut your mouth and actually hear my point,
says
you would
in God we trust, but it doesn't say the Almighty God. Who's the God of this world?
Money.
Just let me know whenever I can make the point uninterrupted,
The
Neil.
love of money.
My God's the God of the world.
What's your point, Matthias?
Are you going to interrupt right in the middle again?
You asked me a question. What was on the bill? There's many things on the bill.
Neil.
There's a Batmobile on the bill.
Oh, yeah. Grasp for those straws. It literally says, Neil, on the top of the Federal Reserve note, Federal Reserve note. Now, you're paying to the government, which has nothing to do with the Federal Reserve. You think you're giving unto Caesar's what is Caesar's?
As in God we
No,
trust.
I quoted a scripture when Jesus was asked to pay his taxes. He said, "Render to Caesar what's Caesar's, and render to God what's God's."
Right at the height of the point, Neil. Right, well, every time I'm right there getting ready to slam it home, I get interrupted. It's weird.
Okay, flame it home.
Yeah, you are giving unto the government, Caesar in this point, which isn't the government's. It's actually the Federal Reserve. These are two totally different entities. So you're not giving unto Caesar what is Caesar's, Neil.
Okay, so what's the point?
Wow.
What's the point?
I don't think I can dumb it down. I cannot dumb it down for you any further than this, Neil. I can't.
Okay, let me rephrase it. What do you want me to do, Matthias?
I want you to think critically, Neil, and actually hear what's being said.
What do you want me to do?
Right there.
So you don't want me to pay taxes? Is that what it is?
I can't even answer your question. You asked me, you're sea-lying me at this point, Neil. You're asking me questions and not really interested in the fucking answer. Sorry for the F-bomb. But he has triggered me to the point. I don't know if he's playing coy and feigning ignorance at this point. I don't know. I don't know if it's cog disc kicking in. I don't know.
What's your point, Matthias?
I done told you 3 times, Neil. Actually, more than that. Just 3 times today.
Tell me a 4th time, Matthias.
Mute yourself, Neil.
I would say that's like an instigative weasel.
Yeah.
Actions. Yeah, that's not cool. I don't like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
What kind of shit, Hawk? I'm telling them to tell me I'm on mute. Tell me. You tell me to go on mute. You don't say something. But Hawk decides to say something. What do you want? This all stems from the holiday Christmas. You just want to be a Scrooge and a Grinch? You go right ahead.
Ain't got nothing to do with the fucking holy days, man. My God.
Considered the holidays. Merry Christmas to you.
Okay, Neil, you want me to make a point? My whole point is you're not rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's. You are rendering unto the government. You're paying government, not the Federal Reserve. Okay? That once again,
government is then paying the Federal Reserve.
God.
That's me. I'm sorry. I was just trying to add the that we're paying taxes, that they're paying taxes and interest on this Federal Reserve note. So yeah, that the people that make the money, they're your Caesar.
Yeah, I'd like to know how I fit in this here. I am a poor man. So I don't know what you're telling me this for. You're telling me to
I
not
think we
do
were
it
talking about
so I
Romans
can be
13,
poorer?
right?
Because you're claiming you're trying to make everybody believe that you're rendering unto Caesar, and that's not the case. You're rendering unto government, which is the Federal Reserves.
So who's Caesar in today's world, Matthias? Caesar was in the Roman days. Who's the Caesar today? Is it not the government?
No, that's my point exactly. It's not the government. It's the Federal
Who is
Reserve.
it then?
No, it doesn't.
So who do I have to?
Wow.
So who should I be rendering my money to? Like I do.
Jesus didn't do it. Jesus didn't do it. In fact, Jesus made the motherfucker go fishing for his shit. So.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to a foul-mouthed guy that talks about the things of God like AI Eagle Lord does, using
couldn't
foul
address
mouth,
the argument, so he attacks the
using
man.
a foul mouth because
Again.
Jesus wouldn't stand there saying, he don't give that mother effer anything. No, he sent Peter to the river, got a coin from the river, and flipped it to him to pay the freaking taxes or whatever the tribute was from. He was making a point. And the point he was making was that God is what you should be giving everything to.
So the Romans are God now, huh? Well
I'm
said.
pretty sure that was edited.
I didn't say the Romans are God.
Things.
Jesus was making a point. He said, render to Caesar what's Caesar's. They want this tribute, so go give it to them and give to God's what's God's. And that's all of you. And I have rendered myself to the Almighty.
Can I interject? From what I got from you guys, but from what I've always understood and what you guys reiterated, you, Matthias, you, Hart, interjected, and Neil, seeming to understand is that as we navigate, just like they navigated back then, we must know how to differentiate and don't fall into without, like you said, Matthias, we got to critically think and know that as we go through this, as they call it, the matrix, as we navigate through this world of worldly things in this system, we have to understand, we have to differentiate, and we have to know how to separate ourselves, which is what Neil's saying, giving ourselves unto the Most High, compared to being able to not do the dumb things that make ourselves become arrested, loss of finances by not obeying the system, because the Most High understands that the system is a suppressing, oppressive system upon all of us. So, but we don't lose ourselves as we work through the system, meaning do the wrong things for the money, lust for the money, and think that money rules everything. That's how I look at it. We know we need currency to be able to be functional in this world, whether it be exchanges of, huh?
Adam and Eve didn't need no fucking fictitious currency.
Okay.
In fact, I'm a firm
Adam
believer.
and Eve were before the fall of man, before the rule of Satan.
Who just interfered?
He went right to Adam and Eve before any of this transpired, where they were in the Garden of Eden, living, communing with God in the cool of the afternoon. We're not in the garden anymore. We're given over to a system because of Adam and Eve's rebellion. Now we're in the system, and Jesus prays that we are to be kept and not to fall into various temptations. I pray not that they be removed from the world, but
so I got to pay for someone else's mistake
while they are in the world. And you're kept by the seal of the Holy. Don't interrupt me. You're kept by the seal of the Holy Spirit of God.
Begin with. You hypocrite.
You must be born again to see the kingdom of God.
Yeah, you interrupted me to begin with, and actually, to make it fair, to be honest, I interrupted the guy before me. So,
yeah, and I stay silent, just listening to y'all. Just go back and forth.
We all have to pay for someone else's mistakes. That sounds righteous and holy to me.
That's the beauty of Christianity. That's the beauty of the gospel. The righteous for the unrighteous. That's why Jesus is known as the second Adam. Not that he was created, because he's the creator, but through the first Adam, sin entered the world, and through the second Adam, which is not man, woman, procreation, it's the Holy Spirit overshadowing Mary. That holy thing that was in her womb is Almighty God, who put himself in frail humanity, because that's how powerful he is. Nothing can touch him. And he redeemed mankind. The one unrighteous act calls for death, so he becomes the penalty for us. He took it upon himself. He had a body prepared for him to come and crack into this world and take it to the cross. So, that's an even scale. God's scales are balanced.
If you want to believe in some satanic blood sacrifice, that's all on you. Huh?
So you deny the blood of Christ? I got nothing to say. All right, so Matthias, we'll make this very easy. Then we can't communicate about this anymore. That's fine. You hold that
don't
belief.
butt in whenever I have something to say.
Hold on a second. Because we're not going to talk about this anymore, because you stand outside of Scripture. So what's there to talk about?
Oh, that's ironic. That's ironic. Ironic.
You don't understand the Scriptures. If you take it away the blood, that's the whole thing. That's the whole act of God. Because without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sin. That's the whole Bible. That's the whole New Testament. That's the whole sacrifice. That's what it's all about. That's why God stopped Abraham. That was a type and a shadow of what was to come. He was not going to stop himself to redeem mankind, because John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever should believe on him should not perish but have everlasting life." That's why Nicodemus came to him by night, because he said, "No man could do these things that you do unless God be with him." He didn't realize that he is God.
Well, I don't know about you, Neil, but whenever I had my Flat Earth awakening nearly a decade ago or whatever, one of the first things it taught me was not to blindly accept man-written books.
I haven't accepted nothing blindly. So here's the thing. You reject the gospel. You reject the Bible, so don't use the Bible. No, Matthias, you reject the Bible. Do not dare use it again. Who are you to use the Bible when you reject it? Get the hell out of here. You reject the Bible, but you want to use it?
Neil and Matthias, please stop swearing.
Well, he's interrupting me constantly.
I said hell. That's not a swear word.
Well, I'm going to deem it as one, because you're so egotistical to deem words as bad. I'm going to be egotistical like you and deem that one a bad word. How's it feel?
Let's forget about it, because this is a flat earth debate. So you and I can't discuss these things, because you're on one side, I'm on the other. If you're not going to listen, you've already said you don't believe the book was written by God. You don't believe it was inspired by holy men moved by God. So we don't even have to talk about it no more. That's what I'm trying to say.
Then don't talk about it. You're making it sound like I can't even voice my opinion. That's not what a debate consists of, Neil.
Okay, what's your opinion? So we know it, and then you and I never have to talk about it again.
Define debate for me, Neil. I'll define it for you. When two opposing views, I'm going to define it for you formally.
I don't debate these things.
Oh my God! Can't even do that. Can't even educate him on the definition of debate.
Matthias, you don't have to tell me what debate means. The beauty about this show is we've made sure that it's not a debate. We've uncovered the fact that it was never a debate. That's the beauty of this. See, you still want to debate things because you have this spirit on you. I don't even know what it is. Angry man spirit.
Starter for us.
It ain't a righteous spirit, that's for sure.
Well, for one thing, you guys have made it specifically clear that that there is no debate concerning flat Earth. We're not talking about flat Earth. We're talking about biblical narratives and whatnot. And before that, we was talking about
and I said they're not debatable, but you say they are. So we can't have a conversation because you sit on one side of the fence that thinks the word of God is corrupted. So you think that. Hold on, let me ask you a question, Matthias. Serious question. Do you believe that God created everything?
And I'm asking for a mic check because maybe I have a bad signal.
Do you believe that God created all things?
I'm just wondering why you keep interrupting me, Neil.
Do you
my
believe
connection
that
bad?
God created all
Mic
things?
check.
It's a simple question.
Mic check. Mic check.
Do you believe that God, forget about Jesus and God, just God, Almighty
Do I
God,
have a bad
do you
signal?
believe that He created all things?
Is my signal bad? Was there a long
See,
pause or
that's why
something because
it's
my
not even,
signal
it's
went
a
out? Is
waste
that
of
the reason
time.
why Neil interrupted?
You want to answer a simple question, Matthias. Do you believe that God is the creator of all things? Simple yes or no.
Nope. I believe the Father is. Let me educate you
Okay,
on
you
this
believe
word
the
God.
Father, whatever. Hold on.
And or not. No, let's just let Neil chant his fundy religion
Not a religion.
instead of letting the opposition
Not
actually
a religion. You said the
make a
Father
point.
is the creator of all things. Fine. Even though it's clear that the Word was God and the Word became flesh, but you don't believe that, so we won't debate that and I won't use that. I take that away. You believe that God the Father created all things. And you don't believe that God the Father can't keep his own word? Really, Matthias?
God, but you
You
won't
think
allow
that
it.
the God that created
You
the
will not
heavens and the
allow
earth,
it.
the sun, the moon, and the stars is not powerful enough to keep his own word intact?
Yeah, you got that.
What
You
kind
just
of
need
God
to
do
let him
you
answer,
serve?
Neil. Neil, you do need to let him answer, though.
When I'm finished,
he won't
and I'm
allow it.
finished.
Yeah, I was going to try to educate him on this word God. This word God is derived from the name Gadriel, pronounced God real, who is Satan. And so whenever you ask me, Neil, do you believe that God,
Okay,
whenever someone asks me
so we're
about
going to take your word.
Neil,
All right, so the Almighty.
Neil, you haven't finished.
Whatever word you want to use for God, Matthias.
Neil, please let him finish.
Told you he wouldn't allow it.
This is going to take me into a freaking nonsense world. This is what, you know what I mean. Whoever you think, the creator. Do you think the creator created all things, Matthias? Yes, you do, because I've heard you say it. So you're saying the creator's not powerful enough to keep his own word. Really?
That's what I said. You asked me a question and you wouldn't even allow me to answer it. And then say, oh, you're saying this. I haven't even answered you yet, dude. Yeah, whenever you say the creator or the Father and not God, I'm going to say, yes, that's what I believe. That the creator / Father, not anywhere near God.
I started off saying Father first. You wouldn't answer my question, so I turned it to God. I originally said, forget about Jesus, forget about God. Do you believe that the Father created all things? Well, I said God the Father, so I take that back.
Yeah.
Father. Do you believe the Father, who is almighty, created all things? If you do, then that's fine, because I agree. But I just agree that it was done. The Son created everything through his word, the living word. And the word became flesh and dwelt among us. Okay? So, you don't think he's powerful enough to keep his own word intact? No. It's been tried. Purified in the furnace of earth 7 times. It's been through 7 scrutinizations, and still stands to be the only book with prophecy. Fulfilled prophecy, and prophecy awaiting to be fulfilled.
I'd like to make another point about that, if you'll allow it, Neil. Let's be straight with each other, Neil. Okay? The Father, the / Creator, wrote the 10 Commandments with his fingertips. Man, fallible man, wrote the Bible. So you can't say that this is...
No, I got to interrupt you. It wasn't
bloody hell.
It was holy men.
Neil.
No.
You can't just
Nathan,
chant through him.
You stop fundies when they go wrong. I'm going to stop him. He said men. No, the Bible clearly says holy men moved by God as the Holy Spirit gave them utterance. Let's get our facts straight.
Book says, huh?
But don't bring up the book then. You want to pick and choose what you want to use in the book.
I just try to prove all things, which is what we're supposed to do.
With the book, right? With the book. You want to prove all things with the book.
I try to prove as many things as I can.
How do you know anything? Forget God. How do you know anything about the Father?
Not allowing me to answer, Neil.
How do you know anything about the Father? You get it through the written word. That's where you got your knowledge from. How are you going to know anything about it? Just like I got my knowledge of Jesus from the written word.
Just don't ask me questions and then interrupt me whenever I get 3 words out.
I don't got no time for Antichrist. I don't.
Yeah, another ad hom, ladies and gentlemen. You are this because I can't back up my blind faith belief system that a book said something. Yeah, that's an ad hom again, Neil.
He didn't. He asked you where you got your knowledge from.
No, he called him an antichrist. That's an ad hom.
I get my knowledge.
Christ.
I get my knowledge from the
Christ.
Hold on, Matthias is trying to
He's
answer
an
his question.
antichrist. We're
Hold on a second.
I need a definition
Harp.
of the word
Just one sec,
Christ.
Harp. He was about to answer Neil's question.
I get my knowledge from the Father who I pray to, which is not JC. Because as it says specifically in Revelations 22:16, it says, I, Jesus, the son of the morning star, son of David. Well, if you look up the definition of Lucifer, he's also known as the bright morning star. And that's why I don't pray to JC, because I'm a firm believer that whenever people do pray to JC, they are violating the first amendment. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me being singular, not plural. And I think people are praying to Lucifer. And that's why that's why another reason why I cannot conform to Christianity, because every time I talk to these so-called Christians, it seems I have to deal with narcissistic values, and to break that up and boil it down, this word holy, that the Creator / Father, you can call him God if you want. He's holy, right? Infallible. Holy represents infallible, not fallibility. And whenever Christians believe that they're walking in this holy, infallible spirit, I think that's a good indication that this word holy teaches narcissism. Because narcissism, they believe that they're never wrong. They believe that they're infallible.
Well, all I wanted to say earlier was that when y'all were talking about it's not a debate, this is not a debate, there's no debates on here, is that things like this, I didn't know this was called Christian evangelistic antichrist debate. I thought this was flat earth debate. So things like this should not even be discussed. And just like we should talk about the measurements regarding the flat earth, or the proof of the flat earth, we shouldn't have to be going into the Bible. Not to say that it's bad to, but then you're straying away from the actual irrefutable, indubitable measurements. So we shouldn't even be on here talking about this. You dig what I'm saying? They do have service for it all over this thing. So those discussions should be talked about on those servers. That way we don't have this tension in this here, because we're talking about flat earth discussion, debate, discord. And let's just keep it like that. Because now we got people disappearing because, it's one side against the other.
When it comes to talking about any kind of religion, always a dangerous subject. And I mean, you're talking about words that you're not defining, like Christ and Lucifer. Those are two words that have to be defined and understood to be talking about. That never happens. Definitions of words are excluded from conversations, and that makes it a chaotic mess.
I think I mentioned this before, and it was a while back, and I had said the way religion or the way faith or the way creation versus the other side, it's almost like a whole nother genre compared to the flat earth. And if you think about it, in the beginning, before we knew about the measurements, we were always talking about all of the beliefs and all the theories. Nathan knows what I'm talking about, whether it be the ice wall, whether it be admiral bird, whether it be, all the kind of stuff. Is it a dome? Is it hectolinear across? All of these things other than the measurements. Same thing over this side. Just listening to you guys and listening to everybody. At the end of it, it comes down to belief. And then you look at the flat Earth versus the other side. You have these books written by what known as charlatans. Some are written by people who tell the truth, like Mr. William Carpenter, who wrote the world, 100 proofs that the world is not a globe. So we got both sides on that, written by books and citations, which we use in order to make our confirmation of our argument. Same thing with religion. We use a specific book. Some people use the Bible. Some people use the Torah. Some people use the Tanakh. Some people use the Veda. There's different books of religion. So it's the same thing. But at the end of the day, there's a time and there's a place for that. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be both sides to it. At the end of the day, there is a creator. There is a creator. So when you simplify it to that, there is a creator. How do you know? Just look out, like we were talking. Somebody said it earlier. Look out the window. Look at the baby smile. Look at how the earth changes seasons and things grow. Look at how you see the miraculous birth. Think of the things you see with your own eyes, your own experiences in life. Okay? We got to find a narrow thing. There's a creator. Period. Point blank. Arguing about what their name is, arguing about all this other stuff. Well, this book is better than that book. First Testament, Second Testament, New Testament, Old Testament, Torah. I don't like to get into that. That's why I don't talk about that. If I'm going to get into it, I'm gonna get into it on a platform that talks about it. Here is not the place.
So with all that, somebody could have defined the two words I asked for. Okay, it's cool. We won't talk about it anymore.
Oh, the people you asked to define it are gone. That's the problem.
They are.
Yeah, you asked Neil. Didn't you ask Neil to define something like that? Christ or whatever?
Christ.
Don't
And
you
then I
Christ
asked
or something?
Matthias to define Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer.
said
Somebody
bright
said
morning
Lucifer. Yeah, whoever said Lucifer needs to define that. And I think that was either Harp or it was either Matthias or it was Neil. One of them.
I did twice. For the third time, ladies and gentlemen, Lucifer is defined as the bright morning star.
Right. Now, where does that come from in the Bible?
That's from the Oxford Dictionary.
Oh, in the Bible, where is it? There's only one time it says Lucifer. Where is it?
That's whenever he's painted as the you had to ask me that. The sun, right?
It's Ezekiel 28.
Dude,
The son
it's
of
Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. God is correcting Nebuchadnezzar in Isaiah.
Correct or not?
And suddenly he calls Nebuchadnezzar, "O Lucifer, son of the morning star, how art thou fallen?" Now, the word was changed from morning sun to Lucifer by St. Jerome using the Latin Vulgate. So that's why that word's there. It was replaced. The word morning star was replaced. So, "Oh, morning star" is what he was saying to the king. He was not speaking to any entity whatsoever.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, if you study the way I have in my life, you know shit like this.
So you're saying that the original said bright morning sun?
You're breaking up, dude. You're a robot.
Mic check.
Yeah, you're fine now.
Yeah. So you're saying the original said.
And now you're roboting again. You better drop and come back.
Weird.
Yeah, you've only got about enough bandwidth for one or two words, and then you start breaking up again.
Yeah.
Mic check.
Mic check comes through, but you'll probably start breaking up the moment you start launching into something. But go ahead.
Gotta love those satellites. So you're saying, Harp, that the original said bright morning sun?
The morning star.
That's the original star?
Morning star was written. It was replaced with Lucifer by St. Jerome using the Latin Vulgate. So it could become a name. You understand? They hijacked the crap out of Tanakh and made it the Old Testament, which is neither old nor a testament according to any Tanakh bashing Jew. And I've talked to many. And there are no prophecies of Jesus in your Old Testament. None. Zero. There are no prophecies of Lucifer. These are kings. And you have to go back and understand how to read the damn thing. And you don't start from the New Testament, John 1. Okay? That is not where you start to understand, to learn the Bible. From the fucking almost to the end? No, that's not how you do it. These people have hijacked one book, made it into another, created a man god, and have the entire world fooled. Well, maybe not the entire world, all the Christians. All fooled. Because they created a book, edited it, and made just lies. Like you can, like Isaiah with the birth, with the virgin birth, they were having a problem. They were going to war. And it was Isaiah's wife that had the child. And his name was Emmanuel, meaning God is with us. It had nothing to do with Jesus Christ. And what is Christ again defined as? Anointed, usually with oil. When you read a book, you need to know how to read a book. You don't do what people tell you. See, I did the same shit. It's like people told me to go. People told me how to read the Bible, starting John. I went on a crusade back in 1999 with the biggest church in the United States called the Calvary Chapel. And my job was to go down on the floor when people were starting to cry and lose their minds because they realized they're sinners and teach them how to read the Bible. Because when they go to these places, the energy causes them to just start confessing their sins. I've been there and done it. There's no Jesus. You're being fooled. There's no man God. You could go back to Mithra. I mean, there's lots of man gods. You can go worship anyone you want. Can you imagine a God sending his only begotten son,
blasphemer,
die for the sins of the entire earth, like everybody? Can you even imagine what that entails?
Yes.
Well, it
entails the mind of God. You are not creator. You're thinking as creation, not creator. I'm not going to sit in here if I'm going to have people denying the Antichrist spirit. I can't sit here with that.
You're the one that
I'll have to remove myself from it.
Well, it does make sense.
Debate. I thought that's what we were going to get to.
That's what I was saying, Neil. This is flat Earth debate.
All right. When it gets into creator, yes. I ain't going to start holding that. Now, I'm not going to sit here with these people. Not going to sit here with people that blaspheme. They don't call it blaspheme. That's fine because they don't stand with the Bible. But I do. So we can't agree on that. So let's not talk about that. You have your beliefs in that department. I don't have a belief in that department. I have a no-so attitude because I hold in Scripture and it says, I write these things to you, little children, that you may know you have eternal life. So I have a no-so attitude. The same way I know the earth is flat. Now, we don't have to discuss them here. You have your belief. That's fine.
Hey, Neil, tell him. Neil, tell him where it's written at. Where you just said that. Tell him what book that is. Just out of curiosity.
I'm not sure. It's in one of the letters of John. It might be in the first or second epistle of John. I'm driving right now.
It's in the New Testament, right?
Correct. The New Testament is just the Old Testament. that reveals the New Testament. I mean, reveals the Old Testament. The Old Testament is the New. The Old Testament is the New Testament. Hold on, let me get this correct.
Sound like a Glover who has to go look up the shit he just claimed.
Yeah, I'm driving, Hawk. I'm driving now. I'm not going to discuss this anymore. If you're going to continue to discuss it, let me know. I came back, nothing came back, hoping you're talking about flat Earth.
I'm going to round out shortly, so.
Well, what Hurt did make sense, because in the Bible it says that Jesus is praying to God. So how can he pray to what's he doing? Praying to himself? Nobody heard what you said because you're eating your mic.
You're following the wrong God, Matthias. This is flat Earth debate.
Stop deep throating your mic, Neil.
You can't get
Stop deep
around
throating your mic, Neil.
Go to a Bible forum.
Okay, I'll write out on that note. With that, another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If Earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.